Good morning, good evening, and welcome in Namaste. See, what is very important before I introduce to you what is the Dhrista Sutram class and my direction and my vision towards the Vedic science is very simple. There is a technique which I will also teach you in each of your chart, that there is a very important, so irrespective of whatever I'm doing and I'm going to get into this course and the modulation of the course, it is my inner soul true desire to be a teacher of the Vedic science. In my past lifetime, I have been a teacher. So until I do not complete that kind of aspect in my life to be a teacher, irrespective of materialism and irrespective what I will get out of it, the true soul happiness for me can only be walking that path when I will get into the teaching modulation. It took me so many years to arrive to this point, and it is some kind of a, some kind of a breakthrough I had to do, pass over my inhibition. There are a lot of things in your life that you feel that I should do, but I cannot do it. There is something that holds you back. But the secret of Vedic science says very simply that that is one kind of a moment in your life that you need to surpass. Once you do that, then the destiny opens that kind of happiness for you, what you are actually coming into your life. So for me to be very honestly sharing this to you, that though it is my one kind of a chapter in my life that I am trying to start by means of adding it to the karmic alignment process that I am doing, and then take it into the the next level of bringing it to the masses. See, remember, I am doing a combination of two techniques. Though I have learned, though I have mastered, whatever, nobody can master it. It's a lifetime in an ocean. I'm going to teach you an amalgamation of two techniques of Vedic science, which is known as the Parashari, which comes from the sage Parashara, that is the teachings of the sage Parashara, which is also decoded by the Brihat Parashar Hora Shastra. And the second sage is the Bhrigu sage, so Bhrigu Nandinadi. Now, what do the texts say about these two styles of astrology? Every style of astrology comes by the name of the sage itself. So, the sage Parashara and the Bhrigu are the two sages which had a different concept, the style of astrology. I amalgamated both of them to come to one kind of a technique which I'm going to deliver in terms of the basic course to you. But be aware that both of these texts very clearly say that unless you are not destined, you cannot learn these two courses. So that is why I'm saying that all the people who are reaching onto this forum to learn these two kind of techniques of Vedic science can only happen because of the divine intention. He wants you to learn this, and that is why you're standing. It is immaterial. You learn it from Sarvesh or you learn it from any teacher. That's a call that you make in terms of your own consciousness and your wisdom, let's say. Now, what happened very simply, that when I was introduced into the Vedic science and I went into the path of doing karmic alignment to people, 90% of the charts when I was reading, I could see that there is a divine game plan which is getting worked out into the decade between 2020 and 2030, where the divinity is bringing the Vedic science on a very global level at a very stronger pace. If you observe the world around you today, you see spirituality rising up. You see people who are people who are atheists are moving into spirituality. Today, people are talking about Vedic science sitting in the United States. I've got people coming to me from Nigeria, could be Norway, could be anywhere. So what I could sense is that there is a strong inclination of all the people, even who are sitting on this forum today, have to play a very vital role into time to come. Today, you are looking at yourself as maybe a student, but in time to come, you will play a very important role to take this forward. This is a very simple interpretation that I see from what I'm looking at. So what is very important is how I'm going to address this kind of a subject. It is very simple. I'm not going to teach you anything which is in the books. Remember, you can read hundreds and thousands of books, but it will never come to you. So I learned a lot of techniques by means of my own interpretation, understanding, absorbing them, trying to relate to my people whom I'm working with and things like that. And this is the own style I will teach you in a very simplistic way. So what happens is, it takes a decade to learn all these subjects, but you have to be careful that you are patient in this approach, because it will come to you at it. You cannot hurry, because any spiritual master will always tell you it's always about the moment. आप कितना भी पढ़ लो, किसी भी science में पढ़ लो, you do whatever what you want to do, but it is always about the moment. So if you really want to learn the Vedic science, hold your horses, not about yesterday, not about tomorrow. It's always about this moment. The more you will empty your mind, you will be good at anything that you do, especially the Vedic science. So it will always otherwise test you. If you have 1,000 thoughts in your mind, forget about it. You're not going to be seeing the simplest thing in front of you. So that is what you need to understand. Be very simplistic in your approach. And you know what is the biggest secret? Why am I smiling in front of you early morning and trying, even though I'm breaking my inhibitions and coming into the teaching modulation in a lot of people, keeping, somewhere deep down, I'm a little scared, because teaching is something a very responsible, kind of a, you call it a profession, you call it a science, something like that. So I'm raising up my courage in my own life to come and try to, with a good intention, so that you are very I do understand people come to me, I tell them, please start learning Vedic science, and they, after 4 months, 5 months, they will come to me and say, Sarvesh, every day I'm looking at my chart and I feel so depressed, I cannot understand, I feel that everything is wrong in my chart. So so that's why I felt that it might be a good attempt on my side to show you the vision. Will you be a great predictive astrologer? No, you will not be able to look into that for this, but because what you must understand, prediction nobody can teach you. No teacher can tell you, okay, abhi aap aise prediction karo. But what you must understand, that what is Vedic science, it is something that you can be a good guide, you can be a good direction, you can give a good direction to a person who comes to me. But the biggest secret for me, which you will also appreciate in your own chart when you time to come, is in the first attempt of looking at my chart, I could see the direction the divine is showing me to attain moksha. So please, if you understand that what is the common theme of any modulation of the healing or occult, is very simply that a soul is born with a life, and until he's just taking this cycle of life and birth again and again, there is no release of the person. That means you're always in that turmoil. 100 plus sessions I've done, there is a multimillionaire, there is somebody who's in trouble, somebody who's depressed, there's a lot of issue in everybody's life. But what is the most common theme in all of them? 100%, everybody wants that peace in your life. They're saying, please tell me, how do I find that peace in my life today, irrespective of whatever I have or I don't have? So that is what you must need to understand. So before I get into the practical aspect of the Vedic science, I will start by saying a small prayer, because without our, without giving due respect to the divinity, the subject of divine cannot be, started. So we will start with a small prayer by saying, Om Gam Ganpate Namo Namah, Om Vishwakarmane Namaha, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. And most importantly, in a science, when the teacher is trying to teach us a subject which is divinity, so the biggest teacher, Guru Brahma, Guru Vishnu, Guru Devo Maheshwara, Guru Sakshat Parabrahma, Tasme Shri Guru Nama. So with that, I will start on this session today. See, before you decide to embark on the path of divine education, it is essential, as I said, to know that you think that you made this decision. But as I mentioned to you, these two forms of astrology can only be learned when the divinity finds you worthy. So unless you are not into that kind of surrender mode, rest assured कि आपके सामने जो है, what is in front of you, you will never be able to see. Otherwise, it is very simplistic. Anyone can learn and teach astrology. But what you must understand, that please be in the pursuit of experiencing divinity in this moment. Please do not be a God believer. Please be a God seeker. What do you mean by that? What is very simplistic that you must understand? That please do not think that I'm going to do 8 hours of chanting, 4 hours of meditation, and now I'm going to open my eyes and the divine is there in front of you. What you must understand, that you must experience what is divinity. For that, you need practices which you need to be regular. 20 minutes a day is more important than 1 hour you took out in 10 days, because what is important is your consistency and your discipline. So what is very simply, if you understand that the Vedic science, if we took a Vedic science which was started, which was incorporated 5,000 years ago, and you are thinking that I will interpret everything in the context of today, it's never going to work. So this I realized very early. So what I did was, my focus of my Vedic understanding, I took it from the sutras of the Shastra and looking it in terms of the modern interpretation. Why? Because 5,000 years ago, your question would be different. Your understanding of life would be different, because you're, as the, I will talk to you about the Gita in the few slides aage. But what is very important to understand is that in 5,000 years ago, your question to the sage would be totally different. It would not be about career, because you were already born into the 4 sects. You were already decided that this was the career that you had to do. This was the family you were born with. The rest the king would provide for you if you were hungry. But what was the more important take of the entire Vedic and the 12 houses was how to find moksha, how to find the feet at place at the feet of Lord Divine. That was why the Vedic science was done. And when we moved after 5,000 years and moved towards Kali Yuga, and where Rahu dominance, malefic dominance is much higher, today we think it is only materialism, but actually it doesn't hold true. When I show you the chart, I will try to explain to you. So what it is very important in modern times, the 12th house, which is known as the most Dushtana house, or the house which you are thinking, oh, it's going to really destroy me, is that house why most of the people who are born in India are staying abroad today. So what does it mean? The interpretation of that house is very important. So do not think it is only blindly that because it is the 6, 8, 12 houses are going to be the most malefic, but those are where the secrets of your chart are there. Have you ever observed that you are always looking at the houses and you're thinking, what are these numbers in these houses? Now, what was the biggest discovery, or what is the observation? See, it is not that I've innovated something over time. This is only realization. It is an observation. So Vedic science, astrology is observation technique. So what I observed very beautifully is that the numbers which you see in your chart, now I will differentiate in a very simpler context for you to understand. If you take your chart, which is the D1 chart and the ascendant chart, I will try to help you if some people are unclear as to how to look at your chart. But the 12 houses are simply showing you your ascendant chart, right? But if you look at those numbers, what is it? It is very simple, that when you are born with a particular chart, this is your destiny. In my observation, 60% of your life is in front of you when you're looking at the chart. But what nobody told you is those numbers are your controllers of your free will. So every number in your chart is indicating how you should use your 40% of your free will and work towards what you want to achieve in your life. So it is very simple as that. This is a sutra, please do not forget. And I will touch this parameter in the in the later parts of my course. See, what is the basic purpose of astrology is to give you guidance. It is not about prediction. Prediction is only 1% to it, and nobody can teach you prediction. Once you know to observe the chart, you will be able to do it on your own. But remember that whatever courses you may do, it is not important how many. आपने कितने कोर्स किया? ओ मेरे पास तो 6 कोर्स मैंने किया. आपने क्या किया? Everybody is in the hurry today. They are thinking that I will do this course and I will do that course and I will come to know this subject. Remember, it is not there at all anywhere. It is very simply in the chart and you can observe it. And this is what I'm going to focus you in terms of observing your chart in the most simpler way, not to run the thing. So that is why the focus of Dhrista Sutram. What is the meaning of Dhrista Sutram? Is very simple. That Dhrista Sutram is one kind of a technique which is called for a guru who is trying to show you the right way to look at it. So it is also about trying to show you how to look at the Vedic science and how to look at it, because what is the most important thing? It is the way you look at things in any domain of your life. And every speaker in the world today will take millions of dollars from you and always tell you about two things. A is your acceptance, and two is to be in that moment and to see it the way it is. It is very simple as that. So you don't need to be going to rocket science. And this is something the Vedas have already been telling us 5,000 years ago. So what is my focus of doing this education is focusing on the foundations of your basics. Please remember, you have to only focus onto your basics to the best of your ability, without going into this concept of what you know and what you think, what the YouTube has been teaching you कि ये फलाना नक्षत्र में होगा तो ये होगा और ये Saturn आपके पीछे पड़ा है और आपको ये करेगा और वो करेगा. Look, no planet has got so much time. We are such a speck of a dust in the entire universe कि वो आपके पीछे पड़ेगा और आपको ये करेगा कि आपका life को बर्बाद करेगा या whatever. So please do not have a fear based approach. ठीक है? So as I said, it is very important to understand the concept first before jumping into analysis of your own. Just because you took one sutra and you started applying onto your chart and you think, okay, now this I am doomed for. It never works like that. You have to look at a lot of aspect, wait it out, be patient in whatever you're doing. Otherwise, you will be the only person जो बोलते हैं कुलाड़ी अपने पाँव पे मारते हैं, you will create hindrance for your own learning. So please do not do that. So a few pointers before you move ahead. See, without divine intervention, as I mentioned, it is not possible that you get the wisdom. So how do you do this is very simple. I will do my best effort, though I'm pretty sure that each one of you is destined to learn this. But what is very important, as I mentioned, you have to also be very patient. Please be disciplined. And most importantly, as I said, which is going to be the most difficult aspect for each one of you, is to keep your mind empty. Jitna bhi ho sakta hai, whenever you're learning in this forum, or you will go and start learning when you're watching the videos and YouTube and whatever you look at it, you must always try to be in terms of yourself, in isolation. You might be in between 100 people. That is not what is isolation. Or you want to think that I want to be alone. That is not isolation. Isolation is the power that you might be in 1,000 people. You might be in a sea of people, but you need to command your position to still feel the power. So that is what is very important. So that is one thing. My approach to you is going to be totally non-fear based approach. So I'm not going to scare you for everything. It is very simply way how you can look at things. As I mentioned, your karma cannot be changed, but you can definitely work in alignment to your karma. And how you can do, because 60% of your life, it's been my observation, is totally predestined. When you're born, you're supposed to go into this funda, but 40% is totally rest to your free will, where you can work along with your chart. See, what I'm going to teach you here, if you learn and stay with me for the next, obviously, please do not hold me that I'm going to do only 10 classes. I will take it much further, because it is not possible that, I am going to hold. It's not like, aaj maine ko ye complete karna hai, because so when I'm sharing, I'm going to do much more. I'm going to give you some brilliant sutras which you will never find anywhere. So that is what is going to my focus, not which is in the books. Books to पढ़ लो, जो भी करना है अपने end पे कर लो, and then you can debate and you can see if it works or no. Because what is very important, how did the books come? Very simple. They just decoded what was written in a Vedic Sanskrit shloka. All the text have been written in a shloka format. So what you interpret could be different, for every different person. So as the yuga changes, interpretation of the Gita also changes. Interpretation of the Vedic science also changes. But what most of the fellow astrologers forgot, for whatever things, is that they forgot to interpret it in the modern times. Agar aaj ke date mein you are thinking ki I will do Kundli Milan and 36 out of 36 points are matching, forget about it. It never works in today's ideology. You have to look at a very simpler concept as to which is the ascendant lord. Are they friends? Look at the Jupiter in your chart, because he's the most benefic. So it can change the vice versa of your story on different concepts. A person who's getting an alignment with 36 out of 36 points can also face very miserable fate within 6 months. There is no thing clarified as per that. So please keep your focus on your basics. After this course, which you will be the foundation of your astrology, you can master anything you want. If you know your ABCs well, you can learn anything and the interpretation will be much more easier. And you can take it to any level depending upon how much interest you have, the more time you want to dedicate and things like that. See, be a good listener. Hold your horses. Try to understand what I'm trying to teach. Keep your questions for the last. That is the best way you will do. Please do not try to break my flow, because what happens, though you might learn astrology, though I will teach you a lot of techniques, but even today, when I'm doing sessions, believe me, there is a lot of things that come to me by intuition. 2-3 days ago, before any session, I get intuition, I get knowledge, I get some kind of a YouTube video which I'm not consciously trying to watch, but it is coming to me. I observe that this is the kind of an the speaker is talking about an alignment which this person has in the chart. It has for his child, so something I'm supposed to tell the child, through the father or something like that. So there is something which you cannot explain, that is much about. So that is why I say it is a divine subject. Discipline, respect, empathy for all the people in this forum, patience, be kind to people are all the major forte that you must possess. Because if you do not be on the path of being a good human being, then everything is useless, believe me. So as much as possible, you need to try to be humble, try to be understanding for the people in the group that you're working with, you're learning with, be more receptive. That it is always in this world today, everybody is jumping that me, I want this, I want this, I want. Everybody is so focused about me, but they forget that who are you going to live with? You have to live with all the people around you, and that is very important that you must understand. See, what is very important, many people come to me and they're in the turmoil of their life. Believe me, astrology or the Vedic science has the power that it can help you to take control of your mind. If you do this, then remember that the mind cannot control you. So that is the most important power of the Vedic science, to be able to focus onto your mind. What do we suffer the most in our life today is our incapability to take control of our thoughts. You're already suffering of something which will not happen to you maybe ever in the life, but you're already thinking that next month this is going to happen to me, how I'm going to go through that and whatever. And when actually the next month comes, that problem has never happened. But what has happened to you, you have suffered 30 days of your life for something that you have never. So your biggest enemy is your mind. So that is something that astrology can help you to control the mind. The kind of, if you get the power of controlling your mind, then you have achieved most of the things in your life. That is the power of the Vedic science. Make your own notes. I'm going to give you a lot of information which I've collected over time, but believe me, nobody ever, everybody is very hunger for that notes and give me those writings and things like that. Me, myself, I've never even gone back and read the notes my masters gave me. It is more important to absorb what you are going to learn, watch the videos later if you are not being able to, for whatever reason, and this. And I said, try to write. The best way in my personal experience has been that the more you write, as I mentioned to you in my little footnote, that try to use a fountain pen. Why did I say a fountain pen? Because in the old days, if you remember, they would always write with a twill. There was a secret of behind it. In today's time, we cannot go and do the same kind of thing. In the modern interpretation, it is about the fountain pen. Why does that happen? Very simply, if you do not look at it into terms of superstition, look at it more in terms of logic. It is more about writing your thoughts in a very smooth manner. So the fountain pen gives you the ability, because it will write the way you hold your hand, the pressure of your hand, the angle of your hand. So that is the way your writing will be different to my writing or somebody else's writing. So what you can do is bring your thought process very slowly. All the hidden obstructions of your life will slowly start smoothening out by means of doing this writing and making this flow. And obviously, automatically, the more you will write, the more you will learn. Now, this is the same thing. All the modern interpreters are always telling you, write it down, manifest, burn it down, all these things. Vedas has been telling this 5,000 years ago. So it is very amazing that today in the modern context, we want Starbucks to come with something and then we follow it and say, wow, this is amazing. But Ayurveda has been crying out it aloud by 5,000 years ago and we are not listening to it. But anyway, the decade is changing and you will see these things happening. Over the course, I will also teach you how to see the area of life under activation. If you want to see in this particular 2-3 years, which is the focus of your life that you are going to be going under impression, what is the areas? Is it going to be a career? Is it going to be your home? Is it going to be your love life? Is it going to be a children? It is very difficult to come to a it takes a lot of years of experience and decades of hard work to be able to really, and obviously with the support of the divine, to pinpoint in accuracy that tomorrow this is going to happen in your life. I'm not saying it is not possible, but it takes time. But what is very important for you to understand, at least at your level, is that in the next 2-3 years, which is the direction of my life which is going to head. So you can now be prepared, okay, it's going to be my home. So, okay, let me focus, not going here and there, and I can focus on building up my home, building up my, buying a house or, things like that. So that is how you can, I will teach you how to interpret it. And it is not a service base. See, why you learning astrology is something that I will ask you. But what is very important, you must understand that even if there is somebody coming to you for a guidance, and even if, as I said, you're learning this course, this is not like something, it is a service based. Though we can talk it in a modern interpretation, ki main aapse paisa lunga and whatever services I'm doing, that is only because of the Kalyug or the times that we live in. If we try to give free services, they'll be never valued. But irrespective of this, it is very important. It is much beyond, because it comes with a taste and some kind of a blessings of the divinity, which you need to always respect. And wo bolte hain na maryada, uska ek decorum create karna is very important. And remember one thing, which is the most powerful thing that you will remember. I don't know, maybe 50% of the people over here or maybe more, I know your charts, but there is something in your chart which is the soul desire pushing you to come to this learning modulation, and which I will observe, and we will, find it for yourself in time to come. Be respectful for the science. Many times people approach to me, be respectful for anybody in this domain. If you do not believe in somebody what is talking and whatever, you are free to take a decision, but please give him that kind of respect, because he goes into that kind of, you never know, he might be having so much kind of a blessings through divinity. I'm not only talking about myself, but whatever is your thought process, remember that I am finally a human being. In today's Kalyug, very difficult. You try to experience it, go try to learn it on your own, any subject, try to find the best teacher. Never going to happen. I have never found the perfect teacher or somebody who I can say, okay, ye banda maine seekha to ye mera master ban gaya. Because in Kali Yuga, it is mentioned it is not possible. So please be understanding in that point of view that you might resonate with me only 70%. After that, forget about it. Give me the benefit of doubt, because no master in today's time can be in that kind of a domination where you will find ki haan mere ko ye mil gaya, because we are somehow cursed. When we come to this life, we are cursed, because even to attain this wisdom, look at all your years. Some people are lucky to get this wisdom. I am 44. It took me so much of time to get into this kind of a domain. All your age brackets are different. You must have experienced this alone. कितना किताबें खोल के देखो, आपको समझ ही में नहीं आएगा. कोई बोल रहा है राहु ऐसा है, कोई बोल रहा है सैटर्न ऐसा है, कोई बोल रहा है नक्षत्र ऐसा है. So you will after some time will say, forget it, I cannot do this, and then if you try to search for the perfect master, you will never find it. You must have realized it. You try to find a good teacher and you will feel, अरे नहीं यार ये तो बस बकवास कर रहा है, कोई ऐसे करेगा तो कोई is too money minded. So it's going to be very difficult. At my ethics and my principle, I'm going to be honest to the integrity of what I'm going to teach you, be in a format of being a vice versa communication after the classes. But please give me the benefit of doubt, because all answers I also do not have, right? So it is something that you must understand and appreciate. People come to me and they generally think in today's mindset with astrologers, and it is very important for me to tell you all these things, because अगर आपको डरना है ना, तो आज ही डर के आपको पीछे हटना चाहिए. This is my entire idea of telling you. Why? Because in the domain tomorrow, there will be a lot of people who come to you. Today the world is full of different people in different professional fields. I get people who suddenly come to me, they say, Sarvesh, I heard about you for whatever, and I want you to do my karmic alignment session. And then they will transfer money, and then after I tell them there is a process about it, and then they will suddenly come back to me in 4 days and say, hello, when are we talking, things like that. So I immediately, I'm very principled about what I believe in and things like that. I don't think it is like a pizza delivery service. It takes time, it requires divine support. Many times eventually it's divine intervention कि उसको वो knowledge देना है कि नहीं. I am not a judgmental guy. I am not supposed to cross that domain. To that effect, शास्त्रास में लिखा हुआ है कौन से लोगों को ये नहीं देना चाहिए. But as my personal policy, I always give a benefit doubt of people. I know, looking at a chart, that this chart I'm not supposed to do a reading for this person, but I always feel I need to give a benefit of doubt. मैं कौन होता हूँ decide करने वाला? And I tell that person, but somehow I've always noticed 100% of the time it would fizzle out because of the person not coming to me and whatever, and then I feel it's a divine's grace, whatever. It didn't hold me responsible for doing it. He took me out. But what I'm just trying to tell you is, please be respectful towards your profession, because I will come to the subject of intention. But what is very important to understand, that I don't know about the other domains. This is not a subject कि आपने सोचा कि मैं ये 10 दिन 12 दिन 20 दिन का कोर्स करती हूँ एंड देन मैं बैंड वैगन पे चली जाती हूँ. नाउ आई एम एन एस्ट्रोलॉजर and people can come to me and I will do this falana prediction for you. I will change your life and thing like that. I'm going to become a multi-millionaire and thing like that. Remember, Vedic science will stop. It will close it in your mind. आपको समझ में नहीं आएगा कि क्या आपके सामने हो रहा है. So please do not have that kind of intention also. I need to make this very clear to you, because what is your mindset? It is not for me to judge, but it is something for me to clarify. Always see, in today's time, the problem is that we are always thinking about the next message, the next hour, the next day, the next year. Many times I ask people ask me, how will I tell them that, don't worry, this is the next 6 months are going to be good for you. Please focus. And by the way, since this topic has come, we are in a very beautiful period, as I mentioned in my write-ups, that the alignment of 5 planets is very strong. So this 10 days is something that you can really break inhibitions. You can do something that you always wanted to do in life. Start. It's not going to be a very easy start, but believe me, it is going to herald something for the next decade, and especially between the years 2023 and 2025. So that is another nimit. What is the meaning of nimit? It is the meaning is omen. In Vedic Shastra, omen is very important. You must be able to catch कि अगर मैं आज आपके सामने या बात कर रहा हूँ, एक सेशन कर रहा हूँ, what is happening around me? What is the universe trying to tell you? If I'm talking about a child, you might suddenly notice that there is a neighbor's child who is maybe, laughing, or there is something in the neighborhood where there's a bird which is chirping. So all these signs are very important to gauge and understand. So you have to look much beyond. But what happens, we all miss this. Why? Many times people are so involved, they think I am on the path of divinity and divine has shown me this and whatever this, that, and a simple message of communication in text, people forget to even read it. Many times people have forgotten to even wish me on a health factor where I've told them I'm ill, but they will still think that thank you, Sarve, that you have done this for me, you have done this, you have changed my life, and falana, my divinity is with me and whatever. But they forgot to even read a simple line where I was telling them that I'm ill. So they did not even feel that they couldn't, it skipped them. So please do not let that happen to you. Please do not skip the simple joys of life, because remember, Vedic science might tell you and give you some kind of a direction, but nobody in this world can guarantee that you're going to get up tomorrow morning. So please be clear about that thought, that today's day is this moment that you need to enjoy, live your life. You should never negate this. Okay. So as I mentioned, this is entirely based on my own belief system. So please do not hold me to me कि अरे ये कहाँ से आया, ये पराशर ऋषि ने बोला क्या, कि ये उस ऋषि ने बोला. whatever. See, this is only the decoding on the interpretation and what I observe, because practical observation is more important. किसने क्या बोला और क्या हुआ, वो actually आज के जमाने में कैसे interpret हो रहा है, that is very important to see. So it is my own belief system. You are totally free not to accept and not to believe it or whatever. But first you must understand what is the story behind and why I'm saying it. Give me that kind of benefit of doubt. So why should you learn astrology? Now let's talk about 2 minutes on this topic, because that is very important. So the first important thing that you might not be aware, which I always promulgate, and when I talk most of the people who have done the karmic alignment session with me, that for me, the most important thing. Now, why does Sarve Shirvekar from an architecture field suddenly align and do Vedic science, where my wife is in this forum and she will be telling you that it is so surprising. When I started, she was like, what are you doing? आर्किटेक्ट करके ये एस्ट्रोलॉजी कर रहे हो? मेरे पूरे फैमिली में कोई ऐसा एस्ट्रोलॉजर के दे हैव नथिंग, नो क्लू, पूरा जनरेशन में. वो अनदर थिंग इज that my ancestor had a sole desire to become an astrologer, and that is why I became an astrologer. That's also one interplay which I will teach you in your classes. But what happens is very simply ki the alignment of my life is very simply now at a particular domain of my life is aligning to the 410 axis. That means I have a Mercury Ketu in my 4th house and Rahu in my 10th house. So what is happening is it is totally, it is total and I have in the number 12. So what it means very simply, that the first thing that I saw in my chart when I got into the Vedic science is कि मेरे को मोक्ष का रास्ता भगवान ने खोल के रख दिया है कि वैदिक साइंस आप करो, service karo. You will not believe this, 99% of the people who come to me are females for consultation. There is a reason why those people are coming to me. In my past lifetime, I left something unpending which I am supposed to complete, and this is what is happening, and it is saying, please isko aap complete karo, you will find moksha. When I saw that, everything else is immaterial. Now it doesn't matter to me, because when I'm going towards moksha, when I'm focusing my direction of whatever I'm doing towards coming into the exit of life and death forever, for no lifetimes ahead, by God's grace, I do not know if it will happen, but that is my total intention. And when I'm walking that path, and what is materialism in front of anything? The divine is already working. I'm on the project management team. Tomorrow, you're also going to be in the project management team of the divine. Always ask the divine to help you to guide others. If you start with this philosophy of your life every day in the morning, rest assured, I can give you in writing that any problem of your life which you think is so-called a problem, divinity will take care of it. Imagine that he is going to be the head of the HR department for you, and he is going to take care of your family housing, family this, whatever you think is the problem for your life, then the divinity works in a very amazing fashion. And this is what is the crust of Vedic science. You must understand. Please, 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 please do not focus thinking prediction, 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 because 60% of your life is predestined and 40% is in terms of your own free will. Today, I made a prediction for you. Tomorrow, you might go and stab somebody. How will it work? It will never work. It is very simple as that. So what it means, that means it is only a possibility. The best predictor can only be 60% accurate. That is it. It is very simple as that. That is why किसी का prediction होता है, किसी का नहीं होता है. शायद कोई ऐसे लोग होंगे दुनिया में who have got that kind of skill, who can go to that kind of accuracy, but please do not jump that wagon. It might happen to you over the time. So please do not get into the thing कि मेरे को अभी prediction, मेरे को super predictor बनना है. वो इसके लिए time लगेगा आपको. ये course करने के बाद please do not think that now okay, I am going to now start predicting. It is not going to happen so easily. It might happen, but you need to be ready to walk that path, right? The most important and integral part of the Vedic science, I always believe, is it can show you your strengths. It can show you your weakness. So when you know your strengths, it is only logical to understand कि आपको strength को use करना है, and weakness जो आपके पास दिख रहा है चार्ट में, उसके ऊपर आपको काम करना है. So you put your best efforts in the best direction. Then logically, why will you not get a better result than what you're getting today? It is very simple as that. So it is only about the simplicity that you must focus. I will teach you how to find the balance in any area of your life. people generally today, what happens in the fast paced environment, we think that we want, मेरे को बहुत बार लोग बोलते हैं, सर्वेश वो ना फास्ट शॉर्ट्स डाल दो तुम, थोड़ा 5 point का लाइन डाल दो. See, everybody wants to know the knowledge fast, right? But what is very important to understand, that if you want to find the balance in your life, all the accesses of your chart, I will teach you how to do that. If you want to find balance in your home life, if you want to find balance in your career, there is a secret of this only D1 chart I'm talking. I'm not even going to the other chart. I will teach you how to look at it in a very simply way. And आपको लगेगा अरे ये तो कभी मैंने देखा ही नहीं. क्यों नहीं देखा आपने? ये आपको समझना चाहिए कि आपको ये देखने की एबिलिटी अपने अंदर लाने पड़ेगी. This is what is very important. You can go crazy over it. The depths are phenomenal, going into the level of nakshatra and whatever you're listening and whatever. But remember, even today, after doing so many consultations and even sitting in front of you, मैं hardly nakshatra पे कभी पहुंच भी पाया हूँ, या भी कभी कोई other level of chart पे पहुंच भी पाया हूँ. It is not needed at all. You can decode everything by your D1 chart itself. That's my clear guarantee to you. Only thing, please be clear that इसमें देखना है. आपको ज्यादा अपने घोड़े नहीं दौड़ाने. See, and the one very powerful technique I will tell you, which all of us suffer, how to experience spirituality. इतने forum में हम जाते हैं, we feel, oh, now some speaker is talking, there's a cassette playing, with due respect to every form, and they will always say, okay, now you please close your eyes, think about this lake, think about this bird, there is some sound, falana. And I used to always wonder कि अरे मेरे को तो कुछ भी नहीं दिख रहा है, कुछ भी सुनाई नहीं दे रहा है, इसका मतलब मैं साला इतना I am going to be papi type of a person that I don't know anything, कि हर किसी को दिख रहा है. Every speaker is telling some experiences, किसने ये देखा, किसने वो देखा, और मेरे को तो बाहर कौन आ रहा है वो मेरा दिमाग तो उसी पे था कि कौन घंटे आने वाले or whatever. So what I realized very simple in the Vedic science, and believe me, this happened to me. When I started learning the Vedic science, I'm talking about my own experience. Today, I'm reading Eckhart Tolle after so many years of astrology, and I will share that experience later. But what happened to me was very simple. When I was learning, and I was trying to then do a little of meditation or whatever you may call it. I don't know what is meditation. Honestly, आज तक मेरे को अगर कोई पूछे that what is meditation, I cannot define. I'm sorry. Because for me, it is very simple that my consciousness and subconsciousness becomes one. It can happen in any moment. I'm sitting in front of you. I'm totally 100% meditating right now. This is what I believe, because there is no difference between the subconsciousness and consciousness for me. So irrespective of other things, this is what I believe. See, you must try to gauge. When I'm teaching you, I'm not teaching you only Vedic science flat front. I'm teaching you life coaching. I'm teaching you the way to look at life. I'm teaching you something in terms of a little spiritual context. मैं कुछ भी maybe 10% भी कुछ भी spiritual level पे नहीं हूँ. But what I'm just trying to tell you is I'm amalgamating all these things. So do not think that it is only Vedic science flat front and coming to you. So the crux of the matter is that if you learn Vedic science the right way, I can definitely tell you, you will attain enlightenment. You can get that kind of a spiritual level in your life. When I was doing my initial sessions, what happened to me? I was realizing that suddenly there was a small pause in between my thoughts. I was wondering how this is possible. I had a thought in my mind and suddenly I went blank, and suddenly now the thought is coming. So now when I'm reading Eckhart Tolle's writings, you will be amazed that now I feel, everything happened to me here in this my lifetime. And this is what he's talking. This is the same thing that has happened to him personally. So what happens is very simply, spirituality can be attained in only two ways. Either you are born in a family who is spiritually, has that kind of enlightenment. Your father, your mother, your environment of your house, in the upbringing has been such that you have got a teacher, and at a very early age you have got into enlightenment. Otherwise, the most common route which we all following, especially me including, is that we go through the turmoil of our life, we go through the washing machine of our life, we are totally scorched, we are gone through everything, and then the divinity has his plan and he says, okay, now you're ready. You are ready to understand what actually spirituality means, because you have understood all these things. But be remembering very clearly that it is all about others. If you realize this in your life, and anybody who has gone through this broken turmoil, when you come to that door, when you think, yes, now I have got it for myself, what actually happens is at that moment you really realize it's not about you at all. It is all about others. And this is why I went into the karmic alignment and in coming into the teaching domain today, because I realized very easily that it is nothing about me. It is nothing that I have to do for myself. And this is what is the biggest understanding you have to do, where it can help you to connect to the spiritual domain. See, please do not feel that this is like a drab subject. It is the most exciting. You need to feel very passionate. You need to feel very enthu, and be involved with this subject, and you will see that there is only possibilities them. There is never one dull moment in your life, because there is always your choice to see the what they say, every cloud has a silver lining. So it is up to your ability to see कि इसके पीछे क्या है. अगर इसके मेरे लाइफ के अंदर एक ऑब्स्टिकल आया है, people are thinking 8,000 dreaded house, obstacle, whatever, but it is the same house that after every obstacle in your life has this transformation ability to change you into a different person. It gives you the rise as a phoenix. It is only your apprehension and your attitude to look towards it. And the most important thing is peace. If you want peace in your life, which all of us are seeking, and anybody who comes to me is seeking, is that you must remember that everything will move you towards getting you that kind of peace in your life that you're searching for. And the Vedic science is the only science can give you a solution based answer. Everybody can, I can guarantee you, go to any kind of a modulation and they will only tell you, ठीक है, आप पिछले जन्म में you were a so and so person, you had a fight with a husband, you burnt your husband, you did this, that, and that is why you're facing problem. My answer was very simple to divinity and to this science always, which I always asked, how can the divine science be so rude? How can it be so wretched that it is telling their children that this is the problem, but मैं दवाई तो नहीं दूंगा. I'm going to tell you that you have a problem, but I will not tell you the way to handle it. So this is something that I never believed, and this is my approach. So every problem of your life, or whatever problem you think it is, or whatever obstacle you think it is, there is always a way to counterbalance it. So this is something that you need to believe in, number one. See, my mentors always told me this, and when I, at the beginning, मैं सोचता था ये क्या है, what is this? My mentors always told me that Vedic science exponent, which tomorrow you will also be, will be a brilliant psychologist. You will not believe this, but maximum people who come to me are psychologists themselves. The India's best practicing psychologists, whatever, at the age of 60 plus, whatever, they're coming and asking me, Sarvesh, sab kuch to hai. I'm into so and so field in my life. I'm doing so practices, but there is something in my life that is missing. That is the time I realized what my mentors always told me. Why are you a brilliant psychologist? Let me tell you one secret today. I am doing say 100 plus consultations. You can go to anybody, and if anybody in your friend circle knows anybody and who has done the session with me, I've never asked the other person one question also. I've always told this side of the story straightforward, without actually going into the understanding, making that person feel that I am judging that person, or getting into a space of that person where I would make that person uncomfortable, because Vedic science is very beautiful. It shows you the journey of that soul before the birth. It shows you the person's journey till the time that person is coming to you. Without even asking one question, you can gauge that person's mindset, where it is heading to. And obviously, when you know all the three dimensions of the person, what a brilliant psychologist you can become. So what happens is, Vedic science को हम ऐसे सोच रहे हैं, but actually all of you are going to be brilliant psychologists. But what you must understand, that when you are onto the forum of teaching or healing or doing any kind of guidance, what do you do with your own problems? You need to compartmentalize them and put it in a box in your kitchen. Because when you are into the domain of helping somebody out, you cannot be at an emotional full angle where you're sitting and the person is telling you their problem and you're also crying, that person is also crying. Then how are you going to help? So you have to understand that we all have our shortcomings, which you need to grow up, and you need to rise above everything, because there is some kind of a role that you need to play, and that is what you have to focus. So So this is the crux of everything. And as I said, the secret initially which I revealed to you, that every house of your chart is talking about your 60% destiny, but that number sign is going to focus to you where the free will is, where the people have not been um, focusing on, and that is where your focus has to be. Always remember this brilliant sutra which I'm going to tell you today, is that that number of the number in any particular house is giving that kind of direction, because that holds the key, that is the master key for that house. So if you know to align that, you need to understand that, then you can obviously turn around anything. So as I said, now coming to the factor that who should not do astrology, because that is also very important to understand. ये तो मैंने आपको बता दिया कि astrology के what is the फायदे and whatever. Now I am also going to debate on the topic and talk to you on to who should not do astrology. And I am very particular about it, because if you do not, it's not something about me being judgmental. It is about something that it will not come to you otherwise. So you have to answer yourself that do you fit these parameters? Be honest with yourself. And if those parameters do not work with you, then please do something about it. Only then it will start opening to you, right? Otherwise aapko rokega, you will not be able to attend the class. There will be something happening to you that it will keep you away. Your best intentions will not allow you to attend the class. So please be very clear. I don't want you to waste your hard-earned money into something that you do not believe in. This is the most important thing, because at the end of the day, when I will go full force with the sessions, I want each one of you to really enjoy and look at life in a very amazing exponential way, where you can experience life. What beautiful it would be to look at your life in everyday moment in a very different and amazing way. Wouldn't it be not? Always thinking about ये मेरे जिंदगी में ये हो रहा है वो हो रहा है, ये तो चलता रहेगा. If I had to tell you that all your curses have to be paid back today, can you imagine what will happen to you? You will cease to exist. So the curse of our life has to pay the debt till the last moment of our life. So only way that can happen is you have to approach it in a different fashion. If you start accepting कि ठीक है यार, मेरे को ये अगर life में ये determined है कि these are the 10 chapters I have to pay my debt there, so okay, I will do that. But along with it, why not make my life much more better? Why cannot I look at it in a different perspective? These other houses are holding the key strength to me. Why can I not shine in professionalism? ठीक है, मैं कभी घर अपना शायद मेरे को possibility nahi hai. If I cannot own my own house, let it be. Let me be a world traveler. If I know this, let me move like a nomadic. Let me stay 10 years in 5 years in India, 5 years in New Zealand, 5 years in Australia. Let me see the world, because that is the power that my chart holds. Why shall I only now crab ki अरे मेरा घर नहीं होगा, घर नहीं होगा? Because remember, घर होने के बाद भी कहाँ गारंटी है कि आपको वो खुशी मिलने वाली है? So you must never jump that gun. Always look at your perspective. What I'm going to teach you is the perspective of looking at your chart in your life. That is, I think, what is the crux of the entire course, which nobody can ever teach you. Okay. So what is very important is your intention. I always tell people, क्यों एस्ट्रोलॉजी करना चाहते हो, प्लीज अपने आप को रोज पूछो. बस इसलिए करना चाहते हो? आर यू वांटिंग टू जस्ट डू इट बिकॉज यू वांट टू बिकम अ मिलियनर? Do you want to do it just because you want to now start doing prediction for your family? Do you want to do it because you want to now tell your husband tomorrow morning, ठीक है यार, north side में मत जाना, west में चलने जाना, like that? Do you want to make your life miserable? That is a call that you have to take, because I personally never do that. Because when I'm looking at a karmic alignment or in my own life, मैंने आज तक कभी अपना चार्ट देखा ही नहीं है कि कल परसों कैरियर whatever, because I am only focusing, as I told you, towards moksha, and my way of looking at life is different. I am not saying that आप भी ऐसा ही करो, but my only thing is to get you that clarity कि आपकी intention क्या है. देखो, आपको रोज अपने आप को in the morning you have to tell, okay, I am so and so, I am doing this course and I am doing whatever, learning astrology. What is my intention? If you really want to help people, you want to do good out of it, you want to, if somebody comes to you, you want to be like a guide to that person. Now you have that ability. You might have been a good mentor, you might have been a good thing in something which you are telling your child, you're telling your sister's daughter, you're telling your friend's daughter कि आप ये education करो, whatever करो. But now you have that inner skill to look at her chart and say, नहीं, आपको ना, I think what you should always look at it in the perspective कि किसी के ऊपर थोपना नहीं है. आपको चार्ट में दिखता है this person has a skill, she can become a good creative person. So you have to approach it in a manner, ask that soul first very beautifully, ki, what is your intention, what is your interest, can you tell me? And 99.9% that soul will automatically tell you, I love painting, I love to do this. That person has the inner ability. Then you can do 100% thing that yes, I think that you should go into a domain which is a creative domain, not the other way around. Thinking that no, I know as per the chart you have to become an engineer. चलो अभी आप engineering बनो. Because क्या है, there is never a straightforward line, because engineering could be lot of domain. Architecture is also one part of a creative engineering, right? So you could miss that bus. Never be in that hurry to come to a conclusion without talking to that person in kind of that ability that the soul always has the power to understand. So never bypass that. So secondly, which is important, as much as possible, कलयुग में मिलना बहुत मुश्किल है, but अपने आप को जितना हो सके प्योर रखो. Please be good in terms of your thoughts, intention. Today I meet people, I feel very sad or some kind of resonation ki in the world that we live today, there are very handful people because of which the world survives today. We are already only living in Facebook, we are only living in Instagram, we are only living in the likes, we are not actually living. If you meet the person who liked your post on Instagram, he will look at you as if he has never seen you in this world or in this lifetime. But over there, he might have said, wow, amazing, creative, this, that, So what I'm just trying to tell you is you have to learn to be in this moment today, because the divinity is working as a catalyst at a very fast speed. If you look around what we are going to head in the next 5 years, Vedic science is something that is going to come to your rescue to keep you grounded when the world is going to be in the turmoil. And this is something that I'm going to appraise you, which is going to happen. That means the world is moving at a very fast pace where, you will not even realize what has happened to you, where the Vedic science can give you the power to keep your horses grounded and to be in the moment and be an actual human being, what you have to be actually, on this earth. You need to understand to have your inner resolute very strong. What do I mean by this? It is very simple. As I mentioned, we all have our own problems. Do you think I'm sitting in front of you with a very smiling and bright and passionate face that at the end of the day, I don't have issues with my mother or with my family or with, this is always going to be part of life. But when you are into this domain, and if you're going to help anybody, and if you're going to guide anybody, your focus should be in this moment. So when you are doing anything, please be having a very strong inner resolute within yourself to rise above everything. Every soul is powerful. Every soul has got a mission. There is a purpose that we have come to. Let's do it well. This is my belief. Another thing is that nobody can teach you, and it has to come to you with your own spiritual practices. As I mentioned, is the instinct. If you totally develop and you're in line with this, divinity will test you, and then it will give you the power कि वो जैसे मैंने explain किया कि instinctly omens, things coming to you, it will happen. But can anybody do that for you or automatically? No. So you need to be very clear that it will happen. Always spend at least half an hour, 20 minutes, 45 minutes into your own practices every day, because to become stronger, see, there is a pattern in the universe which I realize very strongly. It's a 7-year pattern. Every 7 years, if you are working in a kind of a domain of your life and you realize now, and you look at, if you after this class make a calendar and go backward and count 7 years, every time you put your effort and you think, okay, I'm going to not be in this environment, I hate this friend circle, I hate this neighborhood, I hate this, these people are only backbiting and they're only bitching and they're doing this and that, and I'm not going to be in this friend circle ever. Okay, so you made a decision, I'm going to change every person around me, except myself, because I feel that I am the best person and मैं तो सब कुछ मैं ठीक हूँ, I have no problem within myself, everybody around me is wrong, right? So I thought कि let me change everybody, and what happens beautifully is that you decided, okay, I'm changing this house, I moved to another place, I went to I can assure you the same type of people, the same type of circle comes and stands in front of you if you have not changed and work on yourself. Why? The universe is a pattern, because every 7 years it sends you a wake up call. अभी भी समझे हो कि अभी भी आपको time लगेगा. Are you going to put your effort to change yourself, work on yourself, get your positives up, work on your negatives, or you still want me to tell you how to go about it in another turmoil for the next 7 years? This is what I realized in my life very clearly, and this is what I will also tell you, and if you can relate to your own life, and you will see this happening also. So this is something that you have to understand. Do your practices every day, whatever you can resonate with, whatever mantra that you feel that resonates with you. It doesn't mean कि आपको भगवान के सामने बैठ के अभी पूरा 8 घंटे ये करना है और फिर ना आप आंखें खोल के देखोगे अरे मेरे को क्या मिला, नहीं. It's all about aligning to some kind of a vibration that you, I will teach you how you can do it in terms of some particular chart aspect of your chart, how you can get your courage up. The third house is the most important house for anybody in today's life, because that's the house of your courage. It is the house of your self efforts. So if you focus properly onto your third house, it can give you the secret that what you should do to get your courage of your life up. And why does that happen? Because the third house is exactly opposite to your ninth house, which is the house of your fortune. So if your courage is up, your fortune will automatically support you. So it is very beautifully how you need to look at your chart. Okay. You may need to maintain some kind of a spiritual life within you. What do I mean by that? Now it doesn't mean कि आपने पूरा नॉनवेज छोड़ दिया, आपने ये छोड़ दिया, अभी मैं कभी अल्कोहल नहीं पीऊंगी, मैं कुछ नहीं करूंगी. See, what is more important is your wavelength. You must understand you are finally a body and there is a soul within you. Let it happen to you gradually. If you are walking any path of spiritualism and your soul is walking that vibration, automatically you will feel that मैंने alcohol पी लिया, now the body is not accepting. If I'm drinking, if I'm having non-veg, it will not, I will feel full within the first bite. Why? Because now you are evolving into spirituality. The body is now telling you it is not capable to handle this. That is the time, obviously, you have to stop. Not because thinking कि नहीं मैं non-veg खाऊंगी, छोड़ दूंगी तो कल शिवा मेरे सपने में आएंगे और मेरे को पूरा ट्रांसफॉर्मेशन करेंगे और मेरे को लाइफ दिखाएंगे आगे क्या करने का है. नहीं, it should happen to you very naturally. So what happened is, you know, when I was small, and you must have heard this story, and they used to always promote and say that Gautam Buddha left everything. He left his family. He left his father. He left his wife, went to the forest to attain what? To attain enlightenment. But actually, nobody told you this, that when actually Gautam Buddha comes back after 12 years into the forest, goes to his father, the father gets very pissed about it. He says, how could you do this? How could you just walk out? He keeps on shouting, gets his frustration out as a father. But Gautam Buddha doesn't say anything in reply. He just stays silent, because he knows eventually what is the most powerful thing in this world is silence. And this is what every master will always tell you. He goes to his wife, and the wife is damn furious. She says, you went out without even talking to me. How did you assume that I will never support you? Why did you not trust my love for you, that you just walked out thinking that my wife will not understand me, and he left without even talking to her? But she says, the most furious point for me is that I wanted to ask you one question. Today, after 12 years, you have come to me. Please answer me this, a very simplistic question. And what will be, you know, important to know, that whatever you have attained in this 12 years and whatever you think it is, could it not be attained even sitting in this kingdom alone, being the prince alone? And then Gautam looks at his wife and he totally apologizes. He says, yes, this is what I realized, that you can attain spiritualism even being in the confines of the world or domestic environment. The problem in the world today is, we look at those beautiful photos of the mountains, we look at those beautiful pictures of the, you know, what are the religious places, and we think that spiritualism is there, and everybody is heading thinking that I will go to that lake, sit in the foot of that mountain, and that is where it will come to me. But what you must understand is, everybody who has gone there also, once he reaches there, he's thinking about his home. What is happening at my home? Well, what is where the dog will be kept today? What is happening with my child? Everything like that. So that will always be your problem. So what is the only answer is, spiritualism should happen in the environment that you are sitting, and wherever you may be. You may be among 100 people who are non-believers in you. There might be 1,000 people who might think that whatever you're doing is all bullshit. But does it mean that you are going to change the path that you are on? No. This is what you need to answer. So this is what I mean, that you have to attain and work towards a spiritual life. Believe in the power of transformation. If you are thinking कि अरे there are two schools of thought of Vedic astrology which you need to understand and define. Most of the teachers who I learned from always have this kind of a belief system that everything is destined. आप कुछ भी नहीं कर सकते हो. They always have this belief कि आपका जो चार्ट है तो अभी आपके साथ ऐसा ही होगा. But I have a little different way of looking at it कि ऐसा ही होगा तो it is just like what is the point? Why would a doctor be there just to tell you, okay, you went to a doctor and the doctor said to you, नहीं नहीं आपका कुछ नहीं, आप जाओ, हो गया आपका, you will die tomorrow, you will die after 1 month, you will die after 3 months. No, there is always a chance of somebody to align to your karma and to pay those debts faster. So my school of thought always believes that there is a power in terms of transformation. And if you believe in that power and that kind of a philosophy, then this kind of an approach of the Dhrista Sutram will work for you. But अगर आपको ये डर है कि अभी सैटर्न मेरे पीछे पड़ा है और मेरा जिंदगी खराब करने वाला है, तो फिर मैं आपको कभी हेल्प नहीं कर सकता हूँ. So that is something that you must understand. And most importantly, please understand that it is my observation that remedies done for the sake of remedies are never going to work. Only thing that works in points of my understanding is if you align yourself to your karma. That means if you understand your chart, you work in terms of some kind of tandem with means of your mantras, with terms of direction of your work approach, there it will give you 100% success. But thinking that मैं अभी आज remedy करूंगी और मेरा ये obstacle चला जाएगा, वो concept ही पहले गलत है, because it is not an obstacle at all. You have to pay your debt. The only way to approach your karma is by going into that kind of an attack to that remedial. It could be in a different factor for a lot of people. Lot of things can happen because of acceptance. That means if there is one kind of a turmoil in your life at a personal level, maybe a married life, then at one level you must understand and let it go, because it is not possible that you can do anything about it. It was destined to happen. आपको humor में सीखना पड़ेगा कि ठीक है अभी ये हो गया, rise above it, move further, otherwise you're simply adding the turmoil to your life. So the way you approach it is going to be very important. And never forget the power of this moment, and never follow totally thinking about that only about I will learn from the books and things like that. I will teach you enough ways of techniques where you can grasp everything, provided you are ready to think. There are 3 fundamental principles in the Vedic science you must never cross. What are those? The first is, if you ever see in anybody's chart that this person is going to remain poor, this is what the classic says, you must never break that person's hope. It could be possible that you see in somebody's chart कि from a wealth and materialistic perspective ये बंदा कभी शायद अच्छा कमा नहीं पाएगा. Maybe at his own personal level, it could not be at a family level. Maybe his child can become a multimillionaire, look at him and whatever, that's another perspective. But you have to never break hope of anybody. तो ये आपको ध्यान रखना पड़ेगा in terms of whatever consultation in the future that you will do or talk to people. Never break anybody's hope. क्योंकि आपने किसी का hope तोड़ा, you are killed him on the spot. So never do that. Number 2, where people are always in this misconception when they talk about death. See, in the Vedic Shastra, death is never a single point. There are many moments in your life where you can experience death. Okay, nobody can define कि आपका यही point पे death होना है. It is not possible. Divinity doesn't give that ability to maybe 1 in a million. You can give ability depending on whatever. But even I cannot gauge in terms of that kind of, because that knowledge stops. It doesn't come to you if you are not in the kind of right alignment. So it fails, and there is no single moment, because there is some technique which is known as the mrityu tulya kashta. That means that you could have pain like a death-like situation. You're going through turmoil in your life, that also resonates like a death situation. So it is not to be manifested totally directly and thinking कि अभी इसका death ही होने वाला है. So the subject of death is not supposed to be talked upon or tried to be communicated, even if even if you can see in that ability that this person has a short life or whatever, nothing is guaranteed. So you're never supposed to cross that line. And third, never forget, maybe it might happen to you, maybe it might happen to somebody, that every chart, depending upon your own skill set, upon your own wisdom, you can see everything about that person's life, right from whatever even he doesn't know. Is he a womanizer? Is he a, kind of a, the kind of wavelength he has? Is he a criminal? Is he whatever? You can see everything, but there are some domains you are not supposed to cross, especially when it comes to a very intimate kind of a relationship. That means if somebody showing you a chart, you're not supposed to tell him that your wife is, sleeping with somebody and things like that. It is possible to see to that kind of level, because it doesn't permit you to cross that level, and it would not be in the right format or way of things. So you have to be careful in terms of never breaking this principle. This is something that the Shastras have defined. I personally follow. Rest, it is totally up to you, because this is something that I will strongly advise never to cross the boundary. Along with this course, I am going to reveal some brilliant sutras for you, which are the techniques which I have personally researched. I have basically, aligned and tried it out with lot of charts, and you will see how amazing and fun techniques they are going to be like an eye opener for you. So what you have to remember is that obviously all of you, I hope, I will have to share the videos through the G Drive. So you need to have a Gmail account. If I hope all of you have a Gmail account, and you have entered it into that form, so I can share it with you. The recordings I will keep online. I'm not going to put the recordings on the YouTube, especially the classes, because I want to keep it in the format of a very tight knit circle. For me, this, for everyone, their first crush, their first car, their first love. I should not say the first wife, but what I'm saying is that the first is the most beautiful experience they have. So I'm very much grateful or thankful to divinity and all of you, because you are going to be my first batch. So this is always going to have a special closeness to me in my heart. Okay, though I cannot be very biased towards others, but that is something that nobody can deny. That means you will always, all of you will be very close to me. So though I will keep it on the 90 days, thing, but do not worry if you ever want to, have those recordings again and thing. Obviously, I cannot give them to you to be at a downloadable level, because I don't want them to go here and there. But you can, approach it, and if you want, I can keep it open for you for lifetime also. There is no issue on that, right? The course will not make you ready to go astrologer, but you can, very clearly align your life in terms of what you can see in your chart. Make your own notes, as I say, because that's the best way of learning. There are two ways of making the notes. Either when I'm talking, you can just listen out all the kind of things that I'm talking to you in the class, and then later when you get the video recording, then you can make your notes. Okay, what I will try to do is, after every session, I will try to have a time, whoever is possible who can stay back, I can have the question and answers with them there and there. Or after maybe 4 classes, I will have one session separately, which will be more in terms of only like a Q&A. So if you have anything with respect to whatever you have learned till today, then I can always, approach this. Please be a little restrictive in terms of asking me things like, अभी मेरे साथ क्या होगा, मेरा क्या होगा, prediction, because keep your answers focused mostly in terms of learning, because एक बार आपने वो कर लिया ना, तो वो बाकी चीजें करना मुश्किल नहीं होने वाला आपको. And please relax yourself. Do not get so stressed. ओ अभी मैं बैठ के अभी मेरे को आना है, ऐसे नहीं करना. आपको बहुत सिंपल अपने आप को रिलैक्स करना है. Only then it will come to you. Be, as I said, disciplined. Try to be attending more in terms of classes, because I will love to teach people in face to face, not like video करके करना होता तो मेरे को मैं कब का करके छोड़ दिया होता. I would have just told you, okay, you take this 10 classes and you start listening to this, because I want it to be more in terms of, interactive, and be more in terms of heads up, things like that. And only one thing, if I have to deliver more to you, hold your questions till the end of the class, because otherwise it's always going to create issue for you. Now, what do you need when you're attending the classes? What do you need? The first thing you need to do is find that Astro Sage app, या कोई भी app आपके पास जो है, whatever app that you have, you Astro Sage is the most easiest. You need to have only 2 charts. I will request you that please print out 2 of your charts. One Astro Sage में आपको वो दिखेगा, which is your D1, which is the ascendant chart, which I've always told, most of the people who have done session with, and whoever doesn't know can just go to the Astro Sage app and download put your details with respect to your birth I hope everybody's on mute because I think I'm just getting anyway. So put your details and you will get your chart. Another chart that I want you to do is usme ek aayega moon chart. So the same way you can just print out that moon chart, and this 2 chart is enough for the course. Iske alawa you don't need to do anything else. Keep these 2 charts very much handy with you. Okay, and over the time I will teach you on this chart alone so that you can cross refer very easily. Otherwise it is not even needed from that perspective. That is something I don't do. And what is very important is you need to start practicing to draw these 12 squares. Okay, so that is something that I will now once I will share that to you and I will teach you is how to, you need to first make a practice to draw this chart. Now why do I want you to do this is very simple, because if I'm telling you things like, okay, please draw a Aries ascendant chart, so you need to draw at your chart on your book a Aries ascendant chart without the planets. If I tell you, okay, draw Libra ascendant chart, then you need to know to draw the Libra ascendant. So that will make it much more easier for you, because every time it should be in front of you. Over time, it will come to you in terms of your, it will come in front of you automatically with relation. Obviously, it will take time, but this is something that you need to do. Now, what I will quickly, let me show you how to basically, do this chart, and what is very important is, just hold on. If anybody wants to have a glass of water or whatever, they can just use this downtime to do this. Okay, so I hope all of you can see my chart on the screen. Okay, so what happens is very simple. That means this is what you need to know and this is what you need to draw, right? So what do I mean by this? This is the 12 houses of your chart which you need to understand to draw for anybody. Now chahe wo Sarvesh ho, Ziva, Rigi, whoever, all our charts will look like this. Number one, this you must understand. So what it means very simply, that means these are the 12 houses which will not change for anybody. That means the houses will always be placed in the same position. So the first house is the first house for anybody. This is the second house, third house, fourth house, fifth house, sixth house, seventh house, eighth house, ninth house, 10th house, 11th house, and the 12th house. So this is something that you need to be very clear and very consciously in your mind, that this is the houses. This is not the signs. So do not look at the numbers from a sign perspective. Look at these numbers in the perspective of the houses. So whoever is born in this world will have this chart and will have these 12 houses. Now see how brilliantly the sages worked out the techniques, is that everything in your life is only to be determined by these 12 houses. Simple. So it is only about the permutation and combination between the houses, between the planets, and between the signs. It is simple as that, right? So this is what it means. Now, once if you have mastered to understand these are the 12 houses, see what it means very simply. That means it is the journey of a soul starting from the first house and moving anti-clockwise direction towards the second house, towards the fourth house, towards the fifth house, towards the sixth house, and towards the seventh house. So what it meant is very simple. This is the journey of the soul from the time the soul was born in the first number house, and he goes into the second number house, which is the family house. The third number is your neighborhood, your siblings. The fourth house is your mother. It is your house. It is your comforts. The fifth house is your children. It is the creativity of your life. Sixth house is the Dushtana, first Dushtana house. What it means, this is the house of your vices, but it is the same house which is about your daily routine. It is about your loans. It is about your debts. It is about your health issues coming from the sixth house. And seventh house is your spouse. It is the other domain of your life. So what it means is very simple. The journey of your soul between the house number 1 and 7 is the journey of your life from the time you were born till you got married. It is simple as that, right? And after that, after your marriage happens, what does the person do? As the Shastra says, you are now moving towards getting enlightenment in the house number 12. So then your journey after marriage starting from the house number 7, goes to the house number 10, goes to the house number 11, and then finally you get relief from the cycle of life and death, and then, from this kind of a context. So this is what the sages decoded, and then the people over time manifested it and put it in terms of materialistic angle to all this chart, which will also be one component of it, but not the primary component. So this is something that you need to understand. Now, once you understood this 12 houses, the second chapter that you need to understand very clearly, which I was talking about, is very simply is in terms of understanding what I mean by the ascendant. The ascendant or the lagna is very simple. Now you understood, keep this picture of the the houses in your mind separately in one container. Now I'm talking about the ascendant. Now let us start by the Aries ascendant. What do you mean by the Aries ascendant? Very simply, when you see in the lagna chart or in the D1 chart, number 1 in the first house, that means this person is a Aries ascendant. So now you came to know that this person is a Aries ascendant. You start simply writing the numbers in the anti-clockwise direction. So this is the number 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So what it means is very simply, if you notice, only in the case of an Aries ascendant, only in the case of an Aries ascendant person, the houses and these numbers are overlapping each other. This is one thing that you must remember. So the Aries ascendant is the ascendant actually, like this kundli is known as the Kal Purush kundli. अगर भगवान विष्णु की कुंडली होती तो उनकी कुंडली भी ऐसी होती, where all numbers are correlating with the numbers of the houses of the chart. Simple as that. Now that doesn't mean that every Aries ascendant becomes like Vishnu powerful. There are other ways to decode it. But what I'm just trying to tell you, that in the Aries ascendant is the only ascendant where these are overlapping. So if I said to you, please now draw an Aries ascendant, then what you need to do is first draw the 12 squares, the 12 houses in your chart, then write these numbers and be ready. So that means now you have a chart of an Aries ascendant person, right? So this is the step number 1 for an Aries ascendant. Now, if I said, okay, let's move to the next ascendant, I want you to draw a Taurus ascendant. So for a Taurus ascendant, what happens? You go to the first house. When a person has number 2 in the first house, that means now this person is a Taurus ascendant. And then you start writing with respect to the numbers in the anti-clockwise direction. So now you see the houses are the same, but the numbers have moved. That means in the second house, we are now looking at the 3 number sign. So same way, you keep continuing 10, 11, 12, 1. So this is how the chart will look for a Taurus ascendant. I hope everybody is clear till this level, right? So then we move forward, and then you similarly for every ascendant. So let's assume that now I'm talking about a Pisces ascendant. Okay. So I move further and I go to a Pisces ascendant. What is a Pisces ascendant? You will start by number 12 in the first. So 12 matlab kya hai? Pure signs to khatam ho gaye. So now you start with the number 1 here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So every ascendant, first now you need to practice in this week just to draw these ascendants on your own. So once you have mastered this, then you can clarify whatever. The style of technique I'm going to teach you is on the North Indian chart. This is known as the North Indian chart because I find it is much more simpler. But once if you master this chart, then you can follow the South Indian also. In the South Indian only it becomes into a rectangle chart. But at this moment to learn, it will become complicated for you. But the concept is same. Only the way it is interpreted, it is changing. So you need to have this chart with you, very importantly, your own chart, whatever ascendant you are, so that you can learn faster. Then we are talking about the houses, which is the houses which I told you. These are the numbers now. In this case, it shows the signs. That means for a 12 ascendant, which is the Pisces ascendant, you will start by looking the second house will have the first sign, that is the Aries sign. The third house will have the Taurus sign. The fourth house will have the Gemini sign. The fifth house will have the Cancer sign. The sixth house will have the Leo sign, and so on. Now, what happens is, if you ever want to little explore, just by knowing what is the ascendant, because of these particular signs coming in different houses, it can automatically tell you the characteristics of this person. But that I will leave it to the other classes. At this moment, it will become little a little more complicated for you, but it will I'll just leave it here. See, what is very elementary to understand is that when the divine, there are basically four reasons why we are born as a human being. So what happens is very simple. There are four reasons. Now that generally does not mean कि आपका एक ही जन्म में आप all types of karma करोगे. But what it means is very simple. There are, as per the astrological text, there are four reasons why a person gets born. The first reason is to understand dharma. That means to understand righteousness. Okay. So which are those, how I'm talking about the houses now. So which are the houses where the person is basically working towards his dharma? So it is known as the houses number 1, 5, and 9. So you can also represent it in terms of the sign. So the fire signs, which are the fire signs, which is the Aries, the Leo, and the Sagittarius. These are known as the fire signs, which uphold the righteousness or dharma. That means, in shortcut, if I have to tell you, if you are born as a Aries ascendant, if you are born as a Leo ascendant, if you are born as a Sagittarius ascendant, then there is very, very, very high chances that this lifetime you have to do something related to dharma. That means in this time you have to learn something, or you will have to be doing something. Unless you are not doing something which is on the path of that dharma. What is the meaning of dharma in the Vedic science? Is uphold the righteousness, to uphold the teaching, to uphold higher learning. What does it mean? Very simple example I will tell you. I am a Sagittarius ascendant. So what am I doing today? I am into Vedic science. I am doing astrology. I am teaching. So there is one factor to my life. That means I was supposed to do teaching or do upheld, keeping the righteousness of the dharma in the trikon. So the 159 sign or the houses, which are very important, these are the pillars of the foundation of your life. किसी की भी कुंडली को अगर आपको देखना है, हमेशा first house, fifth house, first house and ninth house को आपको study करना चाहिए. Why? Because that shows कि will this person will be having a good health, because first house means about you, about your health, about whatever. How to see it, I will come to the later domain. But what it shows that in the first house, it is about you, कि आपका घर आप कैसे होंगे. Are you going to be, in your approach, your attitude, your health is all about your first house. So if there is a malefic influence on the first house, then obviously you will have a little discomfort. So that is what it means. Fifth house is very significant because it is your Purva Punya. This is the house which has to have, if you want to see कि पिछले जन्म में how malefic has your life been a good one, has your ancestors done something good, that will be seen in terms of your fifth house. And the ninth house is known as your house of your bhagya, or fortune. So that is what is very important to understand how to activate. See, as I mentioned last time, the third house is directly looking opposite your ninth house. So what it means, your third house is your courage and ninth house is your bhagya. So the more you will activate, automatically your fortune is rising up. Okay? So this is known as the dharma trikon. Obviously you don't need to write much right now. I will explain to you when we go into the detail of the every chart on in that topic. The second is your earth. What is the meaning of earth? Earth means the reason you had to come to this lifetime to learn something. What are those signs and houses? This is the 2, it is the 6, and it is the 10. So this is the houses 2, 6, 10, which are also known as the earth. That means, they are something where you're learning to, and it in the elements, it represents the earth element. It means that you have come to this lifetime to learn something, that what is the meaning of life. So for example, very importantly, if I to tell you, if you were born as a Taurus ascendant, that means in that case, Taurus would be number 2 here. It means very simply that you will, after enjoying, see, the Taurus ascendant life story is like this. He will try to enjoy materialistic life. He gets everything in his life. He gets car, he gets wife, he gets good desires to travel. But जैसे जैसे उसका age आता है, and this is a secret that no book will tell you, as soon as he touches 36 or he touches 42, so this could happen anytime between the timeline of 36 and 42, that strong awakening insight start happening, because the soul says, okay, आपने desire जो करने के लिए आप आए थे, that तो you have done. Now please wake up. You have to understand the real meaning of life. So Taurus ascendant, Virgo ascendant, and the Capricorn ascendant, as soon as they hit the 36 and 42 mark, 99% of the time they get that awakening within themselves कि अभी बेटा time आ गया है spiritual domain की तरफ जाने का, because more, the soul says you have enjoyed enough of it, now let's move further for what you came for, right? It is very brilliant like that. So just imagine, when you are so scared about the planets, you have never even understood that you are, as an ascendant, आप में क्या quality है. So at the time of your birth, if you knew that you are a Taurus ascendant, so you should be smiling somewhere, because you must understand कि materialistics तो आपको life में मिलना ही मिलना है. What you have to focus is on to spiritual domain of your life. It is very simple and so beautiful is that, that is what we have missed to see, and that is what I'm going to show you. Then coming into the concept of the calm trikon. What is the calm trikon? That means you thought as a soul, everything in the life is only beautiful if you enjoy, if you drink, if you spend money, if you have luxuries. Then you thinking, you might want to have a physical relationship, and you think that is the wow thing in your life. Then what happens is very simple. That is coming into the concept of your third, your seventh, and your 11th. So what it means is very simple. Look at it. The Gemini ascendant, the Libra ascendant, and the Aquarius ascendant. These are the 3 ascendants you will see, especially the Gemini. They feel the most turmoil in relationship. Go and ask any Gemini ascendant. They will always be, most of the 99% of, obviously there are exceptions, but 99% of Gemini को आप पूछोगे, how many love marriages did you have, how many love relationships did you have before a marriage? Then you will say, don't ask me. I have gone through that turmoil in my life. Why? Because this is the gains, desires component. 7, again, Libra ascendant, always thinking about my husband. Even after marriage, still feeling, is this the right one? Should I have another person who I feel, if I leave this person, will I still feel be better with the next person? दूसरा जो मेरी जिंदगी में आएगा, will he be much more beautiful? This is the question Libra ascendants will always ask. So this is what happens. And Aquarius ascendant, what happens? There are a lot of secrets which I will also reveal over the time. This is also known as the sign of the U-turn. So Aquarius ascendant, a person who will have 11 number sign in his first house, will always be a confused personality. Why? Because 11 number is the sign of the U-turn. His life is always going into the U-turn. He got into one job, now he thinks after a year, no, this is not the line for me. If I got into something, I'm always feeling that, no, this is not the house for me. So Aquarius ascendant, till he doesn't come to the level of understanding that what is actually the essence of life, will always feel this kind of a U-turn. They'll always keep changing their house. Not easy for them to live in one house. So most of the time, they're always in this turmoil. They'll be into jobs which have, transfers, where they are moving their house. The family is always in relocation. So this is what is the power. This is known as the air element. So what happens is the 3, 7, 11 are the air element signs. Okay. So why air? Because air is always in the movement. And these are also, signs that you have to be looking. These are the desires, you can say, because 11 is the house also. See, you must always remember that there will be a lot of interplay and overlap between the houses and signs, because in the Vedic science, the more prominence is given to the signs. Over time, you will realize this. That means the number 3 can also behave like the third house. Your 3 number could be anywhere in the chart, right? If any ascendant you are there, if you are an Aries ascendant, let's say for a Taurus ascendant, I'll not take Aries because it will overlap. But let's say you are a Taurus ascendant, then you have 2 here and you have 3 here. So what it means, that this house, though it is the second house, will always also show properties of the third house, because it is a third sign. So there will always be interplay, and over time you will have to differentiate how to look at it. So what is the techniques of Vedic science is only observation. Because आप अगर छोटे छोटे points miss करते हो, it will not happen to you immediately. It will happen to you. Give it some time, and I will bring you to that level slowly. But what I'm just trying to teach you at this level, that don't only think that house is house. The signs play a very important role for anything. And the most important third factor, what happens in the chart, which is known as the moksha trikon. What is the moksha trikon? That means 4-number sign of the 4th house, the 8th number sign, or the 8th house, or the 12th. This is why the soul comes to this life. Why does it come to the life? Because it wants to get into enlightenment. That means when you are a Cancer ascendant, when you are a Scorpio ascendant, when you are a Pisces ascendant, your life revolves very simply about attaining moksha. So in my personal observation, I have seen that these souls are such souls that most of the time they have come कि ऐसे बोलते हैं ना कि थोड़ा बाकी है, बाकी सब काम हो गया है, ये करना है, and then the life gets into the moksha. But also remember, when I mentioned earlier, signs play very important role. Like for example, in my personal case, as I tell you, I have a Sagittarius ascendant, and I have the 12-number sign, which is in my 4th house. Okay. And I have the 6-number sign in my 10th house. I have a Ketu sitting here. I have a Mercury sitting here, and I have a Rahu sitting here. I will obviously teach you the techniques later. But what it means, please remember that even though this is the 4th house, look at this sign. I am into the 12th sign. So it is still behaving like the Ketu is in the 12-number house. So that is what you should never miss. It is not only about the houses. The signs also play a lot of interpret. Remember, go back to the talk what I did. What did I say? That means the houses are something that you are born with, but the free will is left to this person. The number in the houses is giving you the direction of the free will of your life. How to decode it, that I will tell you over the time. Okay. So what it means is very simple. That means in this position, the Ketu is sitting in the 12th house also, and the Mercury is also sitting in the 12th house. Now, when I talk about a simple concept, I will tell you on the balance, just to keep it in shortcut. Look, I have my 4th house over here, and I have my 10th house over here. Okay. What does it mean? How do you see? Very simplistic. Today you go home and you want to know how to make a balance between my 4th house and my 10th house. What is my 4th house? Is my home. It is my vehicle. It is my peace. It is my comfort. It is my mother. And what is the 10th house? 10th house is my career. It is my karma. It is my whatever. So if I have to balance my career, what should I do? I should do Ketu, Mercury, and 12th house, 12 sign related effect. So what should I do? Ketu means something which is coming from the ancestors' roots, which is when it connects to Mercury, it means astrology. From where should I do astrology? Sitting from the home. So if I have to balance my career, I have to do astrology from home. Very simple technique. That is what it is, right? And it very simply to decode. Now look at the other way. I want to find comfort in my home. Okay. I want to feel peace at home. I need to now focus into my 10th house. What is in the 10th house? 10th house is Rahu. राहु कहां बैठा है? 6-number sign. What is the 6-number sign? It purely represents service. किसकी सर्विस मेरे को करना है? Foreigners की सर्विस करना है. The more foreigners, I will automatically come in contact with people who I am a Goan, but every person I am doing consultation with is not a non-Goan. So see how brilliantly it works. So destiny brought it for me, but you could make a choice in that dimension. If I knew this 15 years ago, maybe I would have started doing astrology much more earlier. So that is what is my belief. Either you leave it to destiny, or you make an intervention and make a preemptive approach and do it like this. So what it shows very beautifully, when you add other factors, what does Rahu mean? Rahu rules online, it rules OTT, it rules Zoom. So what am I doing? I am teaching astrology or doing consultation through Zoom medium. So I've activated my Rahu. So what did I do? I made a malefic planet like Rahu help me with his positive trait to be in the medium of the online, to be in the medium of the any domain of internet and things like that. So this is how beautifully you can balance any house. What do I mean by that? Let us assume you are facing health problem. You do not know what am I doing, why this is happening to me, what is this. Look in the opposite house, who is sitting, what is happening in the seventh house. Every seventh house to your house will give you the solution for that particular chart. Obviously it will take you a little time to decode it, because you need to understand, because there will be many times the houses will be blank, then you'll be wondering, अरे इधर तो कोई planet नहीं बैठा है, मैं क्या करूं, तो उसके लिए time रहेगा. So what I'm just try to tell you, understand the 1-7 axis very importantly. Every house से 7th house में आपका आंसर है उस घर का. आपको प्रॉब्लम आ रही है लॉसेस में, आपको दूसरे हाउस में देखना है. What I mean by this is the 12th house. This is showing where my losses are going in my life. How to balance it? Look in my 6th house. What is over here? What is the planet? Like in my case, I have a number. In my case, I have number 2 and I have number 8 here, because I'm a Sagittarius ascendant, right? So it is 8 and 2. What planets do I have here? I have a Venus here and I have no planet here. So if I have to balance the losses in my life, if I have to prevent anything in terms of a loss, in terms of anything, which is creating disturbance in my life, what do I need to do? I have to do again 6th house activities. This is the 6th house. As I said, 6th house, 6th sign, same service. सर्विस किसके लिए करना है? वीनस. आप देखो, आप मेरे सामने कितने लोग बैठे हो, वीनस मेरे सामने बैठे हो. My wife is my Venus, my daughter is my Venus. All the females whom I am doing consultation, which I have done, 99% are female. Teaching also 99% female, let's say. Okay, so what it is showing, सर्वेश को क्या करना चाहिए? उसको Venus related service करना चाहिए. I have to help woman in terms of some kind of service. In what should I do service? Look how beautifully I can explain to you. I need to talk about it. I need to, 2 means what? 2 is your speech. 2 is your ability. I need to feed maybe women. I need to talk to women. I need to give them, that kind of thing. So the 2 number sign is actually your 2nd house. 2nd house क्या है? आपका speech है, आपका food है. So brilliantly you can very simply, आपको astrologer के पास जाने की जरूरत ही नहीं. अपना चार्ट खोल के देखो, कोई भी हाउस का 7th हाउस इज द कॉम्प्लीमेंट्री आंसर ऑफ योर प्रॉब्लम इन योर लाइफ. सिंपल, आप वो हैंडल करोगे, कोई दिक्कत ही नहीं होगी आपको. इट इज वेरी ब्यूटीफुली लाइक दैट. एंड आपको क्या लगा है, सैटर्न मेरे पीछे पड़ा है, मेरे पीछे वो पड़ा है, ऐसे कुछ भी नहीं. आप सिंपली ये चार्ट को ऐसे डिकोड करने सीखोगे. बेसिक आपको मैंने देखो आज एक क्लास भी नहीं करा है, और आई कैन टेल यू हाउ मच ऑफ अलाइनमेंट यू कैन स्टिल स्टार्ट डूइंग ऑटोमेटिकली बाय जस्ट लिसनिंग टू दिस थिंग्स वेरी सिंपली. So moving on from there, what is very simply, I'll just take 15 minutes and then I'll open for quick question. I'm sorry, this is a patient subject and requires time. The basic foundation of your charts are basically 3 things that you must understand. Is the planets, second is the houses, and third are the signs. So what it means is very simple. That means when you have I'll just stop this share now. So what it means very simply, that means you have to understand there are 3 levels of your astrology. You must understand first is the planets. So what does the planet do? Planets are basically, they are the agents of God. आपको Saturn ने ये करना है, Jupiter ये करना है, कुछ भी नहीं है. They are only representatives in one company where the divine has put them to some kind of role, and they are going to give you some kind of direction. This is how you have to look at it. It's a multi-corp company that the divine has working with this kind of an alignment. Planets are the agents of the God. They will carry the results for you. The houses will give you the results, and the signs will give you identification to the house. So what it means, it is only about the permutation and combinations of all these things. Over time, I will teach you about the planets, the aspects which are the drishti. जैसे मैंने बोला, हर planet का 7th house एक दूसरे को देखता है. Every planet looks into the 7th direction, 7th place, which I will teach you how to look at it. But what do these planets principally mean? This is something that you have to understand. आपको अगर thumb rule में, आज मैंने आपको सिखाया कि opposite side से कैसे आपको देखना है, तो similarly planets आपको अगर आपके चार्ट में इधर उधर उधर कहीं तो होंगे. क्या दिखा रहा है आपको, अगर आपको समझना है, it is very simple. The Jupiter is showing you, जहां भी आपका Jupiter होगा चार्ट में, it will show you very simply which is the area of life where you should go to and seek clarity. Where is the Jupiter in your chart is going to show you where you must go with kind of clarity, look for answers, find faith, find devotion, and it will also be the area of life where you have to respect. For example, my Jupiter is in the 7th house. So it is destiny for me that I have to respect. Whom should I respect? My spouse, because she is the 7th house planet for me. So it is showing that I have to respect the spouse. I have to respect people who come to me for my consultation, because the other domain of my house. You add another flavor to it. How do you add a flavor to it? The Jupiter is in the 7th house for me, which is in the 3 number sign. So what does it mean? It means very simple. 3 sign means communication. I have to communicate. What do I need to communicate about? I have to communicate about the higher wisdom. Simple as that. So this is how the planet is telling me from the time of my birth, chilla chilla ke, ki please start communicating, respecting your wife, and start talking to her, maybe even for some kind of solution. Very simple as that. So this is how you should be very beautifully be able to understand these facets of your life very on a thumb rule. तो इधर उधर भटकने की जरूरत नहीं है, कोई भी काउंसलर की जरूरत नहीं है. You can take any advice on your chart from your own understanding. What is the sun? Wherever the sun will be in your chart, it is showing you the cause of your creation. That is the place of your life where you will be extremely happy at a soul level. अगर आपको soul happiness experience करना है, look at that direction of your life where your sun is sitting in your chart. That area, that house, that sign will indicate where you will find the actual soul happiness. Where your moon sits, it is that area of your life where it will ask you to be sacrificing in nature. You have to become the mother in that domain of your life. So the planet moon, wherever it will sit in your chart, whichever house it will sit, whichever sign it will sit, over time you will need to decode what is it that I actually need to sacrifice in terms of getting, like for example, in my chart, moon is in the 11th house in the 7 number sign. What does it mean? कि कहीं ना कहीं मेरे को, before I think about my gains, desires, aspirations, I have to sacrifice it for the masses. 11th house is the house of the masses, 7 number domain of the other people. That means I have to think about other. It never says you will not get everything, Sarvesh. It says you to give you everything. But the first step to it is please think about the other domain of your life. What does moon also represent? It represents counseling. What am I doing through Vedic science? I'm doing counseling to people, right? So what I'm doing, obviously, I'm doing counseling, connecting the 11th house with the 7 number sign. This is what the moon is telling me, sacrifice. आप ये करोगे, then you will get the next step in your life. The Mars is the energy of your life. It is the strength of your life. लोग इतना डर के रहते हैं, ओ मैं मांगलिक हूँ, किसने मेरे को मैसेज भेजा, सर्वेश कैन यू प्लीज चेक माय डॉटर्स चार्ट, आई फील दैट शी इज मांगलिक. लेट मी टेल यू, 70% of the people in this world are manglik. Mars coming into the domain of 4, 8, 6 or in the major parts I will teach you. But what it people do not understand, अगर कोई मांगलिक नहीं होना तो कोई पैशनेट हो ही नहीं सकता. Imagine, I am also manglik. If I do not have a good firing Mars, how can I be passionate in my life? So if you have to become passionate, you have to become manglik. It is very simple as that. So please do not fear. Mars is that area of your life where you have to get your energy. So Mars को देखो, जहां Mars पड़ा है आपके चार्ट में, it is giving you the direction. Please use the energy. He is the commander of the forces of the celestial cabinet. अगर आपने commander of the forces को प्यार मोहब्बत में इन्वॉल्व किया, क्या होगा उसका? सिंपली सोचो आप. तो यू हैव टू, लाइक फॉर एग्जांपल, माय मार्स is in the 8th house. What is the 8th house? 8th house is the house of the occult. It is house of everything that is unknown. मैंने क्या किया? अपना एनर्जी डाल दिया एस्ट्रोलॉजी में. I put all this thing in terms of fire. Look at the passion that I'm putting onto the screen right now. So instead of using that energy fighting with my wife, fighting with my children, making turbulence in my own life, I put that energy into this domain. So Mars is telling you, please put that energy in that domain of your life where you can, where it is positioned in your chart. It is very simple as that. So what we are only doing, if you realize, we have to understand the planet and we have to balance it. If you know these two things, half the battle is won. Then why would the planet trouble you? Venus is the means of your sense of survival. लोगों ने आपको बोल दिया, oh, Venus is luxury, my house, my wife, my beauty, my this and river. But what is the most important factor of Venus? It is your basically the means of survival. अगर आपके पास कल खाने के लिए पैसा नहीं है, रोटी नहीं है, कुछ भी नहीं है, अपने वीनस को देखो कहाँ बैठा है, तो वो आपका कभी साथ नहीं छोड़ेगा. दिस इज द सीक्रेट ऑफ द वैदिक साइंस. व्हाट डू आई मीन बाय दैट? चाहे मेरे पास कल 2 रुपया भी नहीं हो, मैं कंसल्टेशन तो कर सकता हूं जब तक आई एम ओल्ड टिल 90 एंड वट एवर आई एम देयर. सो माई वीनस इन माई 6th हाउस इज गिविंग मी द पावर दैट इट विल गाइड मी. मेरे पास कल कुछ भी नहीं हो, तो इफ आई एम हैविंग दिस एबिलिटी to guide people towards their own life, to karmic alignment, especially the woman, being respectful to them, whatever. Venus assures me that मैं आपको ऐसे कभी नहीं छोड़ूंगा कि आपके पास रोटी कपड़ा मकान नहीं रहेगा. Simple as that. This is what you need to identify. Now, the most fearful planet, जिसके सबके तोते उड़ते हैं, is the Saturn. So what happens is very simple. Saturn is the Karaka. See, everybody in the celestial cabinet, like us, we have got one kind of a nature. So the divine worked in kind of principles of Jupiter, Saturn, and whatever. Why did it do it? It's simple. It wanted to tell you about the shades of this planet. Saturn is the only planet who has been observant, he's been disciplined. वो अपने पिताजी को भी spare नहीं करता. He's very disciplined in terms of his approach. He's yes to yes and no to no. He's very straightforward. He's very blunt, and that is why people fear. But what he does is very simple. If you get anything from Saturn, there is nobody in the world who can take it back. So that is the beauty of Saturn. So Saturn आपकी अगर महादशा आती है, Saturn अगर आपकी अंतरदशा आती है, any timeline that I will teach you how to see it. But what it means is that in this timeline, आपको planet की तरह बनना है. Saturn को अपना गुरु मानो. Now, if you are going into any planetary period of Saturn, चाहे वो अंतरदशा हो, प्रत्यंतरदशा हो, महादशा हो, तो Saturn को अपना Lord मान के he is becoming your teacher now. What you have to understand is behave like Saturn. Understand his ideology. What is Saturn telling you? First of all, wherever Saturn is sitting in your chart, it is saying, beta, this is the area of your life where you have to become very disciplined. इसमें आपको कोई माफ नहीं है, आपको कोई अलाउंस नहीं है. You have to be focusing purely by means of you focusing in that domain of your life. आपको time लगेगा उसमें you to attain that. So look at myself. I have got Saturn in my 9th house. What is the 9th house? 9th house is with respect to your father. 9th house is with respect to the pilgrimages. 9th house is with respect to the foreign travel. 9th house is with respect to the higher domain, and obviously 9th house is with respect to teaching. कितना साल लगा मेरे को टीचिंग में आते हुए, मैं कभी तो समझ ही नहीं पाया. तो Saturn in my 9th house is indicating to me, though it is a very difficult time for you and you came ऐसे क्या बोलते हैं, इधर उधर घूमते फिरते रगड़ते, and then you have come to now into the teaching domain, and whatever experiences you might have had with your father and things like that, but now it is supporting me by going into the medium कि now finally I have understood कि मेरे को teaching medium में जाना ही पड़ेगा, irrespective of whatever things I am doing in my life, being an architect and whatever. But Saturn is telling me very clearly in my chart कि your most important dharma, the most important karma towards my life is towards my 9th house. So you will see Sarvesh Shirvekar in the time to come traveling. Where is he traveling? Foreign lands. Why is he traveling foreign lands? To teach about Vedic science. Why am I traveling? I'm traveling to do consultation, to give solution to people. Why am I saying this? Because my Saturn, though it is in the 9th house, is sitting in the 5 number sign. What is the 5th house? 5th house is the house of your solution provider. That means you are destined to give solutions in your life with the awakening of the 5 number or the 5th number sign in your chart. It is so beautiful. It is simply just to be observant about it. Then coming to Mercury. Mercury means intelligence. मैंने कहाँ दिखाया मेरा intelligence? 4th house में बैठा है. किसके साथ बैठा है? Obviously when it comes with conjunction of the planet, it draws the property. See, Mercury is a planet जिसका खुद का कोई रोल नहीं है, It is so amazing that I will tell you in the future detailing that Mercury is one planet which जिसके साथ बैठेगा ना उसके साथ उसके जैसे बन जाता है. तो उसका कहते हैं कि he is like a young prince. He doesn't have one kind of astitva. He doesn't have one kind of an identity for himself. So he's never considered as a malefic or a benefic and things like that. He's only considered that if he's sitting alone in a house, he will behave like a benefic. But if he's sitting with somebody, if he's sitting with a malefic planet, he will become malefic. If he's sitting with a good planet, benefic planet, then it will become like a benefic planet. Like in my case, if I showed you, Mercury is sitting with Ketu. केतु क्या चीज के लिए है? He is talking about roots. He is talking about astrology. He is talking about Vedas. He is talking about Ayurveda. So I have got double Ketu in my fourth house. You look at it like that. So that is why I become much more stronger. Why? You will not believe this, that most of my learnings came like a download to me. मैंने कोई 50 कोर्स नहीं करे. I've just by observing, learning, reading, YouTube, ये वो फलाना डमकाना करके, I've been able to grasp all the knowledge. Obviously, it has happened because I've been an astrologer in my past life. So that is also obviously it is possible to see from your chart. Then coming to the Ketu, Ketu, as I said, it is representing the roots of the land where you are born. जहां भी आप पैदा हुए थे, उधर it shows that kind of an intention. So why do I focus on intention? Ketu आपके चार्ट में जहां भी होगा, it is showing you that this is the area of life where you have to draw your intention from. This is where in the past lifetime you have achieved 95%. There is a little few things that you have to achieve. So Ketu जहां भी बैठता है ना, you have to let go that house. जितना आप जल्दी छोड़ दोगे, जैसे फॉर एग्जांपल केतु इज इन माय फोर्थ हाउस, आई हैव टू लीव लॉन्ग टाइम बिफोर दैट. मेरे को कभी घर का सपना रखना ही नहीं है. इट डजंट मीन दैट आई विल नेवर हैव माय ओन हाउस, बट इट सेज दैट जब तक आप अगर सपने बुनते रहोगे कि आई वांट अ वेरी ब्यूटीफुल बंगलो एंड आई वांट दिस, इट सेज योर पर्पस इज मच बिगर. See, it doesn't allow me, however money I might have, it doesn't allow me to buy my own house. Why? Because it is making me focus to travel the world. Can you understand? Saturn in the 9th house is trying to tell me कि आपको घर पे फोकस मत करो, आपको दुनिया घूमना है, लोगों को गाइड करना है, to give some kind of a teaching inspiration, maybe whatever knowledge you possess, whatever low ability. I'm not saying that I'm going to become a hi-fi guy, but what I'm just trying to tell you is that my life purpose is try to bring this up to the masses. Similarly, when I'm looking at the opposite side, the Rahu becomes the obsession in your life. So what it is showing that जहां भी आपका राहु होगा, उधर आपका पूरा टाइम जिंदगी में ऑब्सेशन रहेगा. यू ऑलवेज वांट टू गेट ऑब्सेस्ड. इट्स लाइक अ पेंडुलम ऑफ योर लाइफ. केतु जहां बैठेगा, राहु बैठेगा, दिस टू हाउसेस यू आर ऑलवेज गोइंग टू फोकस इनटू टू एंड फ्रो. सो दैट इज द एरिया वेयर यू हैव टू गेट इनटू द balance, thing like that. I will stop the discussion now. I had a few things to do, but I will get into the chapter of the planets and ascendants and all these things slowly and give you a thing. But at this moment I want to now, मैंने अभी बहुत बात कर लिया, बहुत बकबक कर लिया, बहुत लोग शायद आप लोग सो भी गए होंगे. But what I'm just trying to tell you is that first it is very important, the idea of this session is first to give you that kind of alignment, try to give you the kind of an experiential thing. The way I've taught you simple concepts about things today, the same thing will happen in terms of a bigger format and the easier way I'm going to show you. It's not about the fear. It is a very simple way कि D1 ही देख के आप क्या क्या देख सकते हो अपने जिंदगी में. Similarly, आप अपने बच्चों को देख सकते हो. That is why I am very confident that even an 11-year-old girl can pick it up by understanding her chart and aligning to things. Because my belief system is very simple. Either आप destiny पे छोड़ दो पूरा and go in that kind of a wavelength, or the divinity is showing you very simple things. Be observant and then you can conquer anything in your life. I will teach you how to see your health issue. Which are the health issues that you are going to tackle, come to. I will teach you a glimpse of how you can look in your chart and tell. The Ayurveda techniques can tell you कहाँ आपको focus करना चाहिए. I will not go into very much detail, but I will tell you कि हाँ ठीक है, आपका ये aggravated है, कैसे आप देख सकते हो. Because 6, 8, 12, the 3 houses, divine ने बहुत beautifully इसको connect कर दिया. The 6th house is showing the disease of your life. So it is the first doctor point. It is showing you this is the house of your life, or this is the diseases that you are going to face in your life. These are the vices that you are going to face in your life. Please awake yourself. This is the first point. आपने अगर इधर अपने कंट्रोल कर दिया, then 8th house को बैलेंस कर देता है. अगर आपने सोचा कि no, there is nothing like this, I will keep doing whatever I have to, then it will move you to the 8th house, which is a chronic disease. That means the 8th house, where people get fear about all these things, it is going to put you into chronic. And फिर भी अपने अगर अपने the attitude, the kind of way you look at life, you do not control, then it will put you into hospitalization, which is in the 12th number thing. So Vedic science, please understand, please look at it more as a preemptive tool to understand your life, and not like कि अभी मेरा सब कुछ हो गया, अभी मैं क्या करूं. We are all suffering through a lot of cancers in your life. The only answer to it is not by taking a paracetamol. You have to work towards that direction. Otherwise, you're going to be only tempted by doing shortcut remedies, by doing whatever. Where it is showing you in everybody's chart, I will tell you how to see moksha kaise aapko milna hai. Isn't it beautiful? If you can find the route to moksha in your chart, uske baad aapko kya chahiye wo aap mere ko batao. This is what is the question that I always ask people. If you can understand this point, then there is nothing else after this. This is the biggest takeaway for this. So that's what all I had to say. If there is anybody, please feel free to ask any kind of whatever questions you might feel. Please, go ahead. And I really appreciate, Harita, you being there all this while. It's pretty early, I think, in New Jersey now. Should be close to 3:30 if I'm not wrong, right? So I think I give you the honor of asking the first question. So then you can, please go and continue with your sleep. I'm just going to ask you to unmute. Yeah.
Okay. Question as such for today, I think I don't have any specific question to ask because everything was a little confusing. I mean, I understand. I'll take time to understand things. It's not that I'm going to understand in first go.
I do understand. Because kya hota hai? I hope you are conversant with Hindi, right? I was talking in Hindi, so yeah.
No, I can understand Hindi.
See,
that's
what
not
happens?
A problem.
The first breaking of ice is very important. The simple things that I'm trying to talk, because what happens, I'm trying to teach you. See, I learned Vedic science in a manner where people straight started talking, not also from the level what I'm teaching you. People generally straight talk in terms of planets, aspects, things like that, not getting into the nitty gritty. But I'm starting with the concept of basically the houses. I'm telling you the concept of the science. I will talk about the aspects. I will tell you about how to look, ascendant, thing like that. I'm trying to make my best level to make it easier for you. But in a situation that if you still feel there is some kind of a, see, it is immaterial for me that I do 2 extra classes or 3 extra classes or 4 extra classes. I want you to grasp the knowledge about how to look at it. So if any one of you starts to feel that, there is something that I have not understood, I will wait in the moment and I will try to explain until and unless. But what you must understand is I am trying to tell you in the most simplest way. आपको थोड़ा practice करना पड़ेगा in terms of free line. That means, as I told you, to draw your chart 12 houses का. पहले houses क्या है, फिर ascendant का मतलब Aries होगा, तो first house में Aries होगा. Start writing the numbers automatically. So all these things, this is something that you need to practice on your own, because unless you do not have the foothold, it will be very difficult for you to grasp the other things. But don't worry, it will come. मेरे को भी बहुत टाइम लगा था. मेरे को, मैं ऐसे आई वाज टू बी लाइक ब्रेकिंग माय हेड टू अंडरस्टैंड कि ये क्या है, इसका मतलब क्या है, ये ऐसे हाउसेस ऐसे क्यों दिख रहा है, अभी साइन ऐसे क्यों हो गया, थिंग लाइक दैट. सो इट विल हैपन, डोंट वरी.
So yeah, that's what I mean. But I'm happy. I like the session. No, no second thought about it.
Why do you want to learn astrology? Chalo, let me ask you, if you can answer.
See,
first of all, I remember you have been in touch with me long time ago. right?
Yes, I
So
was like
yes,
about like 2 months or so,
yeah,
but I
more than that.
think
I
I
think you,
couldn't.
as soon as I remember, as soon as I put this Google form, you were the first person to jump the bandwagon. So I was understanding that you have been waiting for something like this to happen. So now please try
No,
to.
not about this Google form.
Uh,
I even touched with you like 2-3 months back. Like
I
I
think on
don't
the
know if you
karmic
remember.
alignment, हाँ. को आप
Yes,
आपने मेरे को you
no,
asked me a
karmic alignment bhi nahi. What's up? Do you
हाँ.
remember? Like I just
I think
texted
that you
like
asked me with respect to understanding your chart,
yes.
if I'm not wrong.
The sort, yes, yes. And I think I couldn't communicate properly
Yeah.
or couldn't explain why I wanted to or anything.
You know,
And
unfortunately, what happens, Harita,
uh,
I get people from all over the world, and most of the time,
uh-huh.
people have this question. They see. I get little from the foundation and from whatever I've been speaking in the last 2 hours. If you understand, I I won't say I'm a humble person, but with respect to the Vedic science, I keep my foot very much grounded. In other domains of my life, if you ask me, obviously now I've changed, but as an architect or as a project management consultant, मैं कभी किसी की सुनता नहीं था. But from a Vedic perspective, it has come to me to that level that I remain very much humble whereas this knowledge is concerned. Many times people approach me with a different concept. There are times when people approach me and say कि I have no problem in my life. This is how they will start. I have not at all. I'm happy with everything, but there is only one thing, if in my chart, if you can decode and tell me, and that's it, and I'll be happy with it. This is how people approach me. So I have to be little cautious, and this is how the world is. So please do not get me the other way if I
No, I mean, I
yeah,
didn't take it in any wrong.
yeah,
It
yeah,
was not the right time. That's it. And
yeah,
I
yeah,
just
yeah.
left it.
Bas
And I was
I
waiting for the class to start. I don't know why. I was hoping that there will be the time. I mean, the time will come when I'll get the
Actually, I am
chance
also
to learn.
amazed. Actually, look, I'm not at all competent to be a great teacher, to be very honest. I'll be very honest with all of you here that मैं कोई ऐसे 50 साल का मैंने experience नहीं किया है that I'm doing this thing. But what always drew me to this was two things. One is when I was doing these sessions, I was wondering that why 95% of the people who are coming to me, उनके chart में ये common चीज है कि they have to learn astrology. Yeah, I was so much
Hmm?
perplexed by this. There was a common factor about a lot of people that they were drawn. The chart was indicating कि उनको astrology सीखना है. जैसे मेरे खुद का chart में मैंने दिखाया कि तुम Mercury in the 4th house is showing that I need to become an astrologer for my past life. Also, I have the skills. And same way I saw these things happening, and I was actually avoiding it because sikhana is something like a like a responsibility. This is what I felt, and I was dragging it for so long. But eventually, as they say, I will teach you in this one of the technique. Everything will become too heavy on you today only. How to see what is your soul desire actually. So it is that kind of a soul desire. And उसमें funny चीज क्या होता है? It gives you it is your soul desire. मेरे को पता भी है मेरे को करना है, but वो उस area में it keeps you under that kind of influence, doesn't allow you to do it easily. मतलब you have to rise up your courage. It says only after you rise up your courage, it will make you do that. But once you have crossed that barrier, then obviously the divine supports. This is what's my always. So anyway, I will really look forward to, though it will be very very difficult for you from a timeline. I don't know how you're going to manage it, but
I think I'll manage. It shouldn't be a problem. I'll go with a good hope.
yeah, no, definitely. See, as I mentioned, the divinity, there are a lot of people in this world who might want to do a lot of things, but without the divine intervention, especially the Vedic science, nothing is possible. Let me assure you on this. Otherwise, it would never have happened that my own example, being an architect, being the project management, thinking that I've achieved everything in my life, and then trying to look at the peace factor in my life, getting into the concept of Vedic science, trying to understand decoding karmic alignment, doing this kind of a course. This is unbelievable. So I cannot comprehend. It's all divine timing, and it just happened to me, and that is also it is happening to all of you. It is very simple.
Yeah, so that's all. Like I said, I learned few things in from community healers. I really follow that group a lot. Akashic and Reiki, but somewhere I was feeling that I'm missing something. I want to learn more, and I read all your posts. but many a times I'll not be able to understand, like just by reading. So that has given me, like, I want to learn. I want to learn to at least understand the simple things, like what is my soul purpose,
Yes.
like what.
Actually, your chart, without me looking at it, I can tell you that is somewhere, you go back and look at your moon, count the 9th place from your moon. There will be the answers sitting there for you. We will discuss it in the further classes. Okay.
Yeah, sure.
We'll leave it at that. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. So
So,
thank you very much. And I look forward to you at the next class. Okay.
yeah, sure.
Yeah. You can stay. I'm just, giving you the choice. If you're feeling
Okay.
sleepy, yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. Anyone else wants to ask any question? In fact, you should, because this is your time. उसके बाद मैं आसानी से सुनूंगा नहीं. Then I have to get into the teaching mode, become very strict and all, like.
I have a question, Sarvesh.
Yeah, please go ahead.
Thank you. Sarvesh, I understand that we're using the app and so that we know, okay, which planet is in which house. But how do people initially draw out from the date of birth and from, name, date of birth, place of birth, that which planet needs to go on to which house? How is that drawn?
No, are you talking about the technical side of it? That means,
yeah, the technical side.
Let's say कि 5,000 साल पहले कंप्यूटर नहीं होता तो कैसे होता है, ये पूछ रहे हो ना?
Exactly, that's what I mean.
देखो, सिंपल बात है. Okay, very good question that you asked me, because this was one subject I wanted to talk about. One thing you must understand: if you were born 50 years ago, none of us would be doing astrology today. Very simple as that. Now, why do I say that? You have to be brilliant in mathematics, and believe me, I am the worst at mathematics when it comes to mathematics, right? But divinity has a different way, because in the Kali Yuga that we live, what feels in that aspect of mathematics, if you know, Shakuntala Devi, India's greatest mathematician, became a world-renowned astrologer. More than the mathematics, he was famous for astrology. Now, why did that happen? Because you needed to be very accurate in terms of your calculations, in terms of the planetary array, because it is astronomy actually, with respect to the planet, with respect to the signs, with respect to the, all the configuration, and then they would do it in the tabulation of the mathematics. So उसमें चाहे वो पंचांग से देखते थे या फिर in terms of whatever calculative methods they would do. But in today's time, it is not practically possible for a person like you and me. We would have to be brilliant mathematician. Now that gap in today's time is filled by all the advents of Rahu. Rahu represents all these apps. They represent all the online medium. Sarvesh Shirvekar 50 years ago could have never been an astrologer, because it is helping me to get into that modulation, which the apps are doing it for you simply. क्योंकि आपको उसपे कुछ भी, मतलब, you have to now take off. You have to not start from going into the scratch and saying, okay, my this and whatever. Now the question is, you should have asked me one more question. What if a person doesn't have a time of birth, but has a date of birth,
that was
right?
another question I had.
Now come to that. So what happens is very simple. The Parashari system requires the time of birth, but the Bhrigu Nandinadi system doesn't require the time of birth. So you have got now that possibility by just knowing, but obviously you need to know the date of your birth. But I will teach you, if time permits and you all stay with me even after 12, 13 classes, whatever, I will teach you a brilliant technique without knowing the birth chart, without knowing any details of the person. Just by looking at the clock, you can do similar prediction. Whatever I'm teaching you, I will teach you by just looking at your clock, the one you're wearing on your hand, wristwatch. If you're in the flight and if somebody is sitting next to you and comes to know that you know Vedic science, and if he asks you that, please tell me when will I get my house, you can answer without asking that person even one question by just looking at your clock and using the same fundamentals that I am going to teach you. Now, this is the brilliant thing. I'm going to tell you how to look at it. But for this, your foundation should be strong. अगर आपको ये पता नहीं है कि ascendant का चार्ट कैसे होएगा, आपका ये पता नहीं है कि हाउसेस क्या है, अगर आपको पता नहीं कि साइन क्या है, तो ये आप उस लेवल पे पहुंच ही नहीं पाओगे. अगर आप ये मास्टर करते हो, हाउसेस, साइंस, प्लैनेट्स, look, ascendant chart, this is it, you know this, all the answers I can tell you very brilliantly, because the way to approach it is the same.
Yeah,
very simply as that. So what I'm trying to tell you, look how beautifully the Vedic science is, that आज तो आपको मैंने क्या बोला, आपका टाइमिंग का भी जरूरत नहीं है, डेट का भी जरूरत नहीं है, बस उस टाइम की जरूरत है जिस टाइम पे पर्सन आस्क्ड यू दिस क्वेश्चन, सिंपल एज दैट. And another level I will take it, not even the hour, only the minutes.
Okay, right.
So
I think you did mention that in the very first introductory for on when you did it with the community healers, you did mention this, and I was like, wow, okay, that's interesting. So we'll look forward to that. Just another last question.
no,
Sorry, I'm
please,
taking too much
please
time.
take your time.
Is regarding, you touched on the 9 planets. Well, how? But we didn't cover. You didn't mention about Neptune, Pluto, and Uranus.
No, actually in
So
the
what is
Vedic,
their role, and I mean, do they play any role, or what is it
to be
about them?
very honest,
Yeah.
in the Vedic science there is no mention to them, so I do not consider them at all. But what has happened is, in terms of amalgamation of the Western astrology and the Vedic science and things, then the Western astrologers have brought this concept and topo it into the Vedic science. But Vedic science does not talk at all about the planets other than Saturn, because it considers Saturn as the most farthest planet from the Earth, and that's it. तो आपको उसकी जरूरत नहीं है, वो बस फिर आपका लाइफ कॉम्प्लिकेटेड करेगा. बट व्हेन आई एम गोइंग टू टीच यू इन माय ओन पर्सनल थिंग, आई डू नॉट टेक यूरेनस, प्लूटो एंड थिंग लाइक दैट. That is something maybe in the future you can research on your own and take it up once you understand these concepts. But ये fundamentals जानना बहुत जरूरी है. I am not saying that it is not considered and whatever, but in my school of thought, I do not take them, because it is considered as the Shastras that the planets which are only to be considered are like Jupiter, Venus, Mercury, Moon, Saturn, Venus, and the shadow nodes of the moon, which is the Rahu and Ketu, which are not actually planets. They are given the role of the shadow planets. It is like that. So I would.
If in a house, sorry.
Yeah,
sorry.
please ask.
No, so if in a house, if there is, for example, Pluto sitting there, and there's a sign there's, for example, there's 5 sign, right? So we don't then consider, we only look at the sign.
Yeah,
and not regarding the planet.
I will consider the house empty.
House empty. Okay, yeah, that's what I meant. Okay, that's interesting. Okay.
Yeah, I will not. वो ऐप के वजह से वो आ रहा है. But अगर मेरा बस चलता तो, but one thing we have to always remember that whenever you look at the planet, आपको ऐप में ना वो ये नहीं दिखाएगा ऐप में. Like if you take Astro Sage, it will not show you if the planet is retrograde. So one exercise you have to do is आगे जाके उसमें planets आएगा. There will be one column which will show planets. So when you go to the planets, in that column you have to go to that every planet and see उसके साथ में R लिखा है क्या.
Okay.
So that is what you need to write additionally to your chart, कि retrograde है कि नहीं. बस at this moment just hold on to that. Other things I will tell later. What it is very important to just know is कि अगर कोई आपके planet in your chart has any retrograding factor or no. What it means, one line I will just tell you here. Retrograde means उतना ही ज्यादा. Simple. मतलब अगर कोई भी planet retrograde है, मतलब आपका double हो गया. अगर आपको 1 कर्मा करना था, वो 2 करने. Simple. Actually, retrogradation means 3 times. So if you have more retrograde planets, उतना ही आपकी अच्छी grinding होने वाली है. Simple as that.
प्रभु, ठीक है. Thank you, Sarvesh.
Yeah, I hope otherwise the gist of it you have been able to capture, right?
Yes, absolutely. I think it's made so much sense to me now, because otherwise, you curiosity sake, you're going on YouTube watching this and that. It doesn't bring everything together. It's like you are fragmented. आपकी information है, और वो fragments में आप सोचते रहते हो, fragments में आप फिर अपनी life को शायद sense बनाते हो. But this one is like, now it's kind of making sense how to read, how to bring them together or how to see
देखो
themselves.
यहाँ पे ना सब लोग बहुत मेरे से ज्यादा इंटेलिजेंट लोग बैठे हैं इधर, सब मैं देख रहा हूँ सबके फोटो, ठीक है. सो व्हाट आई एम जस्ट सेइंग इज ऑल योर थिंग यू शुड पुट इट इन द बॉक्स, लॉक एंड कम टू द सेशन, ठीक है. जब आपका पूरा कोर्स खत्म हो जाएगा ना, when you finish all the course, then you get the other things out and then you think, but the course you should be able to master, because Ricky, remember this is foundation. Though मैं बोल रहा हूँ foundation, what you must understand is this is all that is it to it. There is nothing like advance and thing, because advance का मतलब क्या है? Even after 10 years I'll be still doing something. Even today I'm learning something. When I have a session today in the afternoon, yesterday I got some glimpse of something that I have to tell that person's daughter something. So what I'm just trying to tell you, can somebody teach it? No. So that has to come to you. You understand? So there is nothing. So what I learned from everybody is that मैंने ये सीखा कि every master is say jumping into things like what you see in YouTube. But what you must understand is what is that fundamental. What is the point of talking about nakshatra? What is the point about talking about Uranus, Pluto? जब आपको साला यही पता नहीं कि आपके सामने क्या है. And this is what the most of the people, as I started, is missing. Because हमारा problem क्या है? हम आगे देख रहे हैं. हम सोच रहे हैं कि इसके बाद में क्या, इसके बाद में क्या, ये कोर्स के बाद में क्या. वो नहीं सोचना चाहिए. पहले सोचो कि हाँ, आज का मैंने क्या देखा. Spend time on, when I share that video with you, spend time, try to see, put it on your thing, subconsciously suno, what is the story, what is the funda behind it, and similarly in the consecutive things to come to you, right? But what I would strongly advise again, you need to practice right now, just drawing those 12 squares. उसमें mastery होना चाहिए आपके ऊपर. 12 rectangles, the ascendant chart. What is the Aries? What does it mean when I'm saying Aries ascendant? You start with 1 in the first house. Leo ascendant means you start 5 in the first house. Libra means you start with the 7 in the first house. So you need to know in your mind, if I'm saying Aries ascendant, that flash should come in your mind, that chart should be there. Over other things which will happen, it will take you time, you know. मेरे को भी आज भी सोचना पड़ेगा कि अरे ठीक है, many times I'm also human, right? I can also be confused कि ये house में कौन सा राशि आ रहा है. कुछ नहीं, you hold on to your horses, take your time, draw a small note, make a rough page, put a thing, okay, it means like this, whatever. And still, if you have any problem after the class or whatever, you can stay back, ask me, I will show you until you are clear. Because the first few classes will be most important. Though I have designed it more like a foundation, it has to be the the fingertips पे आपके जो main चीजें है ना, you should be able to catch. Because once you got this crux of the matter, then what I told you, you don't need any computer also. आपको घड़ी चाहिए बस. Simple. So beautiful, isn't it? That you don't need to have even any funda or anything, because your concept are clear. You can do the technique by just looking at the minutes hands of the clock. Simple. Because have you realized, now I will open one more secret. Have you realized 12 houses, 12 hours? Simple.
Yeah.
So that is why that it works very powerfully in terms of the minutes also. Simple.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Thank you so much. I'm very excited.
Good. You have to have this excitement, and I want, my challenge is to keep the excitement up straight to all classes. कभी ऐसे down नहीं होना चाहिए. मतलब मजा आना चाहिए कि ऐसा लगना चाहिए. You know, when I finished I still remember when I did my first course, when my last course was last class I attended, though 80% I've learned on my own, but मेरे को आंसू आ रहे थे, because मेरे को अच्छा नहीं लग रहा था कि क्लास खत्म हो रही है, कि अभी आप नहीं मिलेगा टाइम, you know, because that kind of tempo should be there in you. Ki, yes, you know, I want to understand. The more hunger you will have for anything, you'll really evolve yourself into a lot of things.
आपका मार्स आपको पूरे 10 क्लासेस तक लेके जाएगा.
हाँ देखो, अगर मैं मार्स अपना एक्टिवेटेड नहीं रखता हूँ तो फिर वो तो मेरे को तंग करेगा ही. ठीक है. Anyone else? Harneet, any question you have?
No, not really question, but yeah, I'm looking forward for the classes. I'm excited, making a lot of notes. But fountain pen खरीदना है मुझे, because it's not that common in New Zealand.
See, what I'm just saying is that what is very important is that as a teacher or as a guide, it is my responsibility to show you the right way and right direction.
Yeah.
The more you will start taking it, there are only two ways of looking at it, right? A, you think of it like कि ठीक है बेटा ये कुछ तो सेंस कर रहा है, let me give him benefit of doubt, let me look at the chart later and apprehensive and thing like that. Once I'm through with everything, then you have the right to debate and come to that. But but first, benefit of doubt should always be going to the teacher. If you, that is a choice that is I'm asking you to make today. When you come to my next session where I will go full blown, where that time you have to surrender. फिर तो मेरे को बात करनी है, मेरे को डिलीवरी करनी है, आई हैव टू टेक द अपर हैंड. नाउ यू आर एट एन इक्वल टेम्पो विथ मी, बट लेटर इट्स गोइंग टू बी वेरी क्लियर. मैं आपको डांटूंगा, मैं आपको कुछ भी करूंगा. You have to be very patient. Not that I'm just scaring you, but what I'm just trying to tell you is that
Nah,
you
fine.
because
Trust
then,
me, trust me, from childhood, I think I remember more of my strict teachers than more soft teachers. I would say. I think you remember more of your strict teachers. So I don't mind you being strict.
see, what happens is very simple. As I mentioned, many times what happens is all of y'all might have had some inclination from the past lifetime, but because of what I don't know each one's chart very upfront, but एक कोई ना fear factor होता है. Why the soul cannot transcend and do that thing. As I tell you, अगर आप थोड़े ठंडे दिमाग से आज on a weekend सोचोगे इसके बारे में, तो आपको ये realization होगा, करना तो मैं चाहता हूँ या चाहती हूँ, लेकिन there is some kind of thing which is holding me back. चाहे आप उसको negative points से देखो या whatever. What I have noticed in most of my observations of the charts is that in the past lifetime, it could have so happened that you had this ability, and for some reason or whatever has happened, it was not used in the right way. So the soul finds that kind of fear within you कि मैं करूं तो मेरे को वापस तो मैं वो टर्मोइल में नहीं आऊंगा, whatever. So उस केस में क्या होता है, there is a reverse play happening in the last lifetime. I do not understand when I'm saying last lifetime, does it mean the immediate last lifetime? Is it meaning the 5 lifetimes before that? I cannot gauge. But what I'm just trying to tell you, and I'm very sure about it, what it means that कहीं ना कहीं हमारा भी role reversal रहा होगा. You might have done something for me that I am now doing it for you in this kind of a lifetime, and trying to break you and come to that kind of an alignment where I'm just helping you to cross that barrier. When you cross that barrier, I am 100% sure, मेरे को तो शायद 10% ही आता है. आप लोग, मैं तो बहुत लोगों का अभी सामने देख रहा हूँ, सबका मेरे पास चार्ट तो मेरे को अभी फ्लैश हो रहा है मेरे माइंड में. तो मेरे को इतना पता है ना, शायद मैंने आप लोगों को पहले भी बोला होगा कि you all are destined for greatness, where I am just playing a very simple role, where I am मेरी सोल की डिजायर एक साइड से पूरी कर रहा हूँ, लेकिन एट द सेम टाइम अलाइनिंग यू टू योर लाइफ अलाइनमेंट. दिस इज वेरी सिंपल एज दैट. ये मैं पावरफुली वन स्टेप आगे भी जाके बोल सकता हूँ कि आई एम 100% श्योर अबाउट इट. You can think about this statement what I said, and it will draw you to you that आप लोग इसमें से बैठे हो, कितने लोग कितने सब्जेक्ट पे मास्टरी कर रहे हो, but फिर भी why you are coming to doing Vedic science? This is a question that I can see, but why, you should ask yourself why it made you to come and to get into that thing. I'm sure a lot of you all know Akashic, जैसे हरिता ने भी बोला, Reiki. I have people who come to me who are, as I said, psychologists, and most of the time I am very amazed that there are a lot of people who are into the domain of like Akashic and pranic healing, who themselves want to know. Generally क्या होता है, one very amazing thing I will tell you, most of the people who come to me in this domain never end up doing the session with me. For some reason, they always come and ask me the first question कि how will I get abundance in life because of doing the Reiki and pranic healing. Matlab, if you're looking at it, my understanding is very simple. All these domains you have to understand in two perspectives. कि आप हिंदी में बोलते हैं उसको मार्गदर्शक. That means आप एक गाइड बनोगे आने वाले टाइम में, अपने लिए, अपने बच्चों के लिए, अपने फ्रेंड सर्कल के लिए, शायद आगे जाके दुनिया के लिए. So your approach should be much bigger than that. The materialistic sense of it is something, it is a total subconscious thing. It is something, it will depend on each other. Who are we to judge? Tomorrow, if I have to go to the States and my seeker sends me a jet and says ki Sarvesh, you have to come, I tell him no, I have no time, I cannot come to States for the next 15 days. He says no, I'm going to send you a jet, you please come, 2 days it will take you to spend time with me and whatever, and we will reach out to more 100 people, we will organize an or a seminar and whatever. I will maybe then decide, okay, I do it, okay, things like that. And so there will be repercussions to me, right? Now log bolega, अरे ये तो साला खुद spiritual सोचता है और ये करता है, and now you are doing. So there will be always be shades to whatever you will do, but what you actually believe in is the integrity you have to held. And what is more important, what you believe in. It is never going to happen that in any domain that you are going to do, whereas the spiritual domain is concerned, कि आपको वाह वाह मिलेगा in Kalyug. Everybody is always going to point fingers at you because people do not know what you're doing, right? They do not know. They, अरे astrology, छोड़ो. ऐसे कितने बार मेरे को लोग आते हैं, you know, people ask me some questions and things like that. I'm sure many of you, forget about many of you, even at me some long time ago, not long time ago, I must have also thought कि ये क्या है, you know, thing like that, unless you do not actually go into it. And one thing I missed in the session today, one powerful thing I will tell you, आपके पेरेंट्स ने, आपके ग्रैंड पेरेंट्स ने शायद वेदास एंड शायद भगवत गीता को अपने मंदिर में रखा होगा, अपने घरों में सजाया होगा, पूजा पाठ किया होगा so many times in a day. But I can assure you, in the 10 classes that you do with me in the Vedic science, you will actually understand what the Gita means. Now see how powerful that is. Why does the spiritual German leader like Eckhart Tolle talk about the karma aspect of the Gita in his teachings? You go to any of the spiritual leader, they're all the time referring to the Bhagavad Gita. And हम क्या कर रहे हैं? हमको लग रहा है Bhagavad Gita is a religious text, but it is all the time चिल्ला चिल्ला के बोल रहा है about your karma, about the Vedic science, about astrology. Once you will start opening now both of them parallelly, you will actually understand what is the power of what the Bhagavad Gita is trying to tell you. So this is the biggest earning that I got while I was learning and referencing both. गीता तो इतने बार मैंने पढ़ी है, लेकिन क्या मैंने उसको पढ़ा बिकॉज किसने बोला भगवत गीता पढ़ो, तो चैप्टर 1 पढ़ा, रख दिया, 2 कुछ समझ में नहीं आया. एस्ट्रोलॉजी के बाद जब पढ़ा, तब एक्चुअली इट इज नाउ कनेक्टिंग टू मी दैट व्हाट इट इज ट्राइंग टू से. चिल्ला चिल्ला के एक चैप्टर में आपका माइंड विल गेट ब्लोन in terms of whatever it is talking. Now the concept is what has happened, unfortunately, though it is all started from here in the roots of our country. Today, now the world is talking. Power of now is talking about the Vedic science, and it's talking about the karma factor, you know, thing like that, talking about Shri Vishnu. Now Indians are waking up and saying, अरे नहीं यार, भगवत गीता में कुछ तो फिर होगा ना, ऐसे करके. But it is not. There was a discussion and somebody said कि Vedas को भी destroy करेंगे in terms of like whatever, you know, burning and whatever things happen. The divinity always decides in the medium. When I have told you I'm reborn as an astrologer, can you imagine why do I need to even read a book? Because it is coming to me from the past lifetime. So what I'm just trying to tell you, it is all about something, it is in your soul. It can always be decoded again. In the interpretation, like for example, मैंने चार्ट में अपने देखा कि ऐसे लिखा है कि मेरे मरने के बाद भी लोग मेरे को याद रखेंगे. The teachings that I'm, all the writings that I'm doing will be remembered even after my death. Similar thing Mahatma Gandhi had. Modern interpretation का मतलब क्या होता है? Simple. I am blogging. Tomorrow I might be writing books. Whatever I'm talking about in the YouTube medium, even if I die, it will still be there, right? That means people are still remembering that there is a person who was an astrologer, who was an architect, who is talking about the Vedic science. He is no longer there in the physical domain, but Rahu will keep my memory alive into some kind of a domain like that. So this is how you need to interpret it in terms of today's lifestyle and thing like that. इसका भी बहुत सीक्रेट है, आपके भी चार्ट में मैं डिकोड करके, मेरा तो बस चले तो इधर ही मैं 10 घंटे बात करूं, but in slowly you will see the positive side of your chart and how you look at it, you know, what is the meaning of those planets and things like that. तो आपको एक्चुअली एक टाइम आएगा जिंदगी में कि सैटर्न आपका दोस्त, मैं if you ask me in all the planets who is my friend is Saturn, बिकॉज मेरे को पता है ना कि वो मेरे को जो भी देगा वो कभी छीनेगा नहीं वापस. Simple. Yeah. Okay. Karthik, please go ahead.
Hi. So I have a question.
Yes.
I don't know if I will get the answer to it, if it is a stupid one or not. So
No, please go ahead.
I know in my past life, I have been a pandit. In one of my past lives, I've actually done a lot of these therapies. From the last time that we first spoke, it's been a huge shift in my life, ups and downs. And Saturn had come. He had done his wonderful deeds and left. So now I am, of course, I've always had an inclination to understand what astrology was, some kind of keenness towards it. But over the last year, due to Saturn's influence and all, I've started to do a lot of these YouTube videos, a lot of astrologers who have consulted, a lot of readings on websites, all of that. But again, I can't still yet read my own chart entirely, so as to say it. But I can understand when someone is saying there's Jupiter in this, go do a quick research of it, understand that. But so, as you were saying, when it is time for you to go closer into learning this science, the reasons of your life, your past life, it's your path, you get closer to it. Right. Now, I know I'm very keen to it, and I keep questioning myself, why? Why am I into this? I was never like this before. And now it's somehow, I'm passionate about it. Somehow I'm always inclined to it.
How old are you, Karthik?
32. But so now I'm sometimes thinking, yeah, is it the right time or is it not? Because I'm still lost out there. That's what I feel.
See, in my personal experience, what I see is when this awakening when what is happening with you was a similar thing which I went through, right? Now you have to walk that path by choosing. In my opinion, I think it's immaterial that you really, come and join me and whatever. That is some free will that you have to look in terms of what is the connection that you feel in terms of what I promote in terms of my thinking approach. Because what is very important, I always tell people, if you want to learn, whereas understanding the intention is very important. Why? Even if you come to know your life purpose, for example, what are you going to do about it? That is more important. Are you ready to take the path ahead of it? Because this science is more not only about understanding your own self, but it's going to be more in terms of guiding towards other. Otherwise, मैंने जैसे बोला, आपको एक simple chart भी कभी कुछ explain कर ही नहीं सकेगा. It will hold you because it will. आप मेरे को शायद कुछ भी पट्टी पढ़ाओ, लेकिन डिवाइन को पट्टी नहीं पढ़ा सकते हो. उसको पता है कि आपका कितना सच्चाई है. However good you might, I'm not being judgmental about it, but what you are as a person, only you know, and the divine knows in the true sense. So you have to take that call. That when you want to enter into the Vedic science, two things are most integral. Is that what is your intention behind doing this, and secondly, what is the philosophy and the teacher that you select to learn from? Because there are different scale set and different mindset and philosophy of people. As I said, I learned from people who always believed that this is how it is and this is better how you have to go about it. मतलब suffering होना है. Saturn अगर केतु के ऊपर आएगा तो आपके life में turmoil लाएगा ही लाएगा. ये होएगा ही होएगा. I have a little different approach to it. I feel that if you are aligning to what he's asking you to do, then the turmoil should not happen. This has been my observation. And that is the wavelength that you have to select. So more than the timing of your decision, you have to decide that what is the point where you have to resonate to do the course with anybody, what is the intention behind it, and what is in it for you that you are thinking and what you are going to do about it. आपको अपने लाइफ का पर्पस पता चल गया, ठीक है, उसके बाद क्या आप उसको आगे ले जाओगे क्या? Will you be like a mentor to people? Will you do good about it, or you're just thinking that okay, I will misuse it and take money and tell people I'm an astrologer and whatever? Why I'm telling this point is because in the domain today, I see a lot of people who come to me who might be doing pranic, who might be doing akashic and whatever, and most of the time they are coming to me asking for abundance in their life. Their only intention is to make money, and the repercussion I've seen that somehow it gets into their own family and things like that. The karma starts continuing in terms of the their children and things like that. So you have to be very careful when you're putting your hands and domain of the Vedic science. So it is very, though it gives you that kind of power and ability to transform your life, but your intentions have to be very genuine. That means if you misuse it, then it will not hold on to you. There is nothing like permanent. The knowledge that comes to you in good faith can go out of your hands within the next 7 years. That's how the karma cycle starts working. So you have to take the idea of doing this first session was basically to help you make that decision. You need not force yourself to make that decision. It is your decision to take. You have 2-3 days to think about it. You have to ponder onto this. I will share this video with you. Think about it again, and then you make an informed call. Because finally, the divine has to support you in anything that you do in the life. Because nobody can give you an assurance that you're going to wake up tomorrow morning anyways.
Okay. Understand.
Yeah. If there's anything, please, you can reach out to me, call me personally, and clarify if you still feel there is something that you need to know. But in my observation and my personal knowledge, not to be very biased about it, I have learned from the mistakes of all and put this course together for you, so that I feel that this is the right approach for you in the best direction. Very simple as that. Whoever will be learning the kind of course and things like that. नहीं तो आप पूरा कोर्स सीखते रहोगे, समझते रहोगे, and वहीं घुसते रहोगे कि planets and Saturn और Mars और वो, because there is no simple definition. Most of the people have this confusion. Okay, Saturn आज ये हाउस में ट्रांजिट कर रहा है तो मेरे साथ अभी ऐसे होगा. नहीं, ऐसे नहीं होगा, सबके लिए नहीं होगा. It will depend. The master key is always your own chart. Nobody can precede it. Nobody can change that thing. So that is what you have to realize. Do not look at more in terms of, I will never recommend anybody doing the course with me who's intending to look at it as a predictive. Like, मैं अभी ठीक है, I have to put money tomorrow in the stock exchange. Where should I do? Now I will look into the chart. That is no point. You have to look at much above everything, and above materialism and things like that. And be patient. It's a path that you need to tread carefully. And as you know, maybe like last time when you must have approached me, the mindset and the way, the kind of situation that must have been in your life. And now when you look back and you see that transformation starts happening, it happens different ages for different person, but it is bound to happen. The only idea is that you should make the conscious call to do it faster in your life. Very simple as that. Okay, anyone else? Or shall we end the session and then we will take it on from the next week? Neha, I'm very curious to know. I was expecting you will ask questions. So don't hold back. Please ask me straightforward. Don't worry. I'll.
Not a question really. Like I understand all these planets, ascendant, and but like you said that we shouldn't be too focused on the prediction thing. But actually, obviously somewhere prediction comes into picture also, right? When we say that, okay, if you do this thing, then it will serve your life purpose. And then when we, it's a human,
I will explain to
everybody. Yeah.
See, what happens is you must understand to curtail your level of predictive abilities to an extent where your life doesn't become miserable. To that level, you should hold. What do I mean by this? Very simple. When I teach you and show you the chart, I can tell you, okay, in the next 3 years, your area of life is going to be focused towards females and towards your career. For example, I'm talking about this level. Then you should not push it to that level to understand कि ठीक है अभी मेरे पास जनवरी में होगा, February में होगा या होगा. This will be a long-term period. 36 months is the period that you'll have to be patient and waiting. People generally get focused in that level. They think कि अभी मैं कल सुबह होगा कि परसों क्या होगा और तरसों क्या होगा. So what I mean to say is, obviously when you are going to get into that level of looking at your chart and whatever, predictive will be one component of it, but it should not be the major hold of it. That's what I'm trying to tell you. Because why? Once you focus only into the predictive domain, आपका बाकी चीजें का ना चैप्टर सब क्लोज हो जाएंगे. You will not be able to see like that. And you must have realized, if you have tried to learn it on your own, then it will always make you jump the gun. You are not trying to understand the basics. So my like if I to tell Neha, and Neha comes to me and says I want to learn, I know आपके दिमाग में कितने planets है और क्या है. मैं आपको strictly क्या बोलूंगा, नेहा ये सब planet को ताले डाल के ना अपने कंटेनर में डाल दो. कोर्स के बाद हम उस पे सब्जेक्ट्स पे डिस्कस करेंगे. तब तक आई एम इन कमांड. अगर मैंने आपको बोला कि सैटर्न अच्छा है तो आपको अच्छा मान के चलना है, दिमाग लगाना नहीं है. दिमाग कब लगाना है? आफ्टर द कोर्स इज ओवर. तब तक तो मैं कंट्रोलर हूँ. दिस इज व्हाट आई एम सेइंग. अगर आपको लगता है कि नहीं सर्वेश को मैं कंट्रोल नहीं दूंगी तो मैं आप मेरे साथ नहीं सीख सकते हो. Very simple. This is the idea of. I'm just telling you in a very brutal way.
No, I understand. Because
I'm just,
normally people would approach an astrologer asking ki, like, like we discussed before also, that when will my daughter get married, or short-term predictive things. So people want to know, obviously.
People want to know. आजकल people को आप straight forward बता भी दो तो people are not ready to listen. आज तो अलग स्टोरी है. योर आप 10 साल पीछे हो. आज तो डेट में आप उनको see you read about any spiritual books, no, however difficult they might be sounding. मेरे को लिए बहुत मुश्किल है books पढ़ना, very honestly बता रहा हूँ. So I do lot of listening to books actually, like Audible and things like that, because for me that is very difficult. So what I realize is that in today's time हर spiritual master चिल्ला चिल्ला के बोलता है. तो आजकल कोई truth सुनने को रेडी नहीं है. आज मैं आपको सीधा सीधा बोलूं भी ना कि ये सच्चाई, आपको मानने को भी रेडी नहीं होंगे. पीपल सब कुछ घूमने के बाद फिर वही आते हैं कि क्या.
Actually, like law of karma, law of attraction, and I think somewhere what we are talking in this session also, somewhere we have to believe the divine, and that is what we talk in the spirituality session. Everywhere, that is the essence.
That is the essence.
And in all the spirituality sessions also we say the same thing. That trust the divine and do your karma.
So basically the only thing is the taking it little further is identifying what you have to do actually. Just otherwise leaving
life
it to
purpose,
chance.
identify.
Because eventually that is what it is to life. What is your life purpose should be your most important. Otherwise most of the people are in this turmoil. They say, जब मेरे पास जनरल लोग आता है ना, मैं बताऊं frankly, when somebody comes to me and wants to do a session with me, the people who are really destroyed in their life, no, see results patak karke, because they have crossed that bridge. Turmoil ho gaya unke zindagi mein, and every master tells you the same thing. You will reach into spirituality when you are totally gone into that berserk thing. There is nothing you can think now, because you are
An irony is like, to whomever I've heard who are great spiritualist people or great astrologers or somebody, so they have faced that turmoil and then they have transformed.
तो होता वही है. किसी का भी, मैंने स्टार्टिंग में क्या बोला, इट्स सेम वे कि आइदर यू आर बोर्न इनटू अ फैमिली लाइक दैट, यू आर टू बी ब्रिलियंटली लकी. नहीं तो हम जितने सामने बैठे हैं सबके लाइफ में कोई ना कोई स्टोरी है, एंड उसके बाद इवॉल्व होने के बाद ही. एंड फनी पार्ट इज, आई एम टेलिंग यू, ऑल ऑफ यू ऑल विल रियलाइज दिस, दैट इवेंचुअली आपको लग रहा है मेरा मेरा मेरा, बट एक दिन सडनली टर्न अराउंड हो जाएगा. आपको लगेगा अरे ये मैं मेरे लिए कह रहा था, लेकिन मैं कर क्या रही हूँ. मैं तो अभी दुनिया को सबके लिए हेल्प कर रही हूँ या वट एवर गाइडेंस कर रही हूँ. मेरा तो कंपोनेंट बहुत कम ही रह गया जिसके लिए मैं एक्चुअली इसमें उतरी थी. इट बिकम्स लाइक दैट. इट्स वेरी अमेजिंग थिंग.
Actually, we are considering the. I just wanted to actually. I could not ask my question. Only thing was, like you were saying, Saturn is not an enemy, but then most fiery planet we say Sade Sati and all, and now again for most people, like for the Sagittarius, for the Pisces, so it has again started and will end in January. So what exactly should be the? What exactly is it telling us?
मेरे को पता
What
नहीं.
we should be doing?
मेरे को इस सब्जेक्ट के बारे में कुछ भी पता नहीं है. ये कोर्स के बाद पूछना मेरे को आप, ठीक है? बिकॉज इसमें फंसे रहोगे ना तो एक्चुअली जो बेसिक्स है ना कभी आप सीख ही नहीं पाओगे. बिकॉज व्हाट हैपेंस इज there are two schools of thought, I'm telling you. If you are going only by साढ़े साती and only by this, then you have to go with that school of thought कि ठीक है अभी डेस्टिनी ऐसा है तो आपको ऐसे भुगतना है, simple as that. But if you go much above it, then you have to learn that you have the, it's given you the power to make that decision on your own, or you just leave it specially to destiny. Because generally ये दो ही रास्ते होते हैं. Most people are only saying that जनरली 42 पे आके लोग खड़े हो जाते हैं, बोलते हैं कि सर्वेश आई टोटली नाउ सरेंडर. तू मेरे को जंप मारने को बोलेगा तो मैं जंप मारने को रेडी हूँ.
Understood.
Simple as that. It is only that difference between that. Especially with if you are ever going to learn with me, no, I'll be very strict with you. I know you. So you have to keep their all this Saturn and thing locked up.
Actually, half some knowledge, little knowledge is dangerous.
Yeah, it's always dangerous. Actually, this is what has happened. What you do not understand is what is the essence of my teaching is I am going to put you into the right. पहले तो आपको slate आपकी खाली करनी है. मतलब whatever you have learned, put it behind by half knowledge, and you have to put it on the right sequencing. If your foundation is strong, no, तो फिर आपको सब कुछ दिखने लग जाएगा. दिखना है तो, नहीं तो आप चाहे कुछ भी करो आपको कुछ भी नहीं दिखना है. नहीं तो वो I get feedback from people, so I know. So उनको वही forget about that. 12 pages 18 pages लिखने के बाद भी लोगों को फिर भी नहीं दिख रहा है. तो आप सोचो, मतलब it is not, don't think that just because it is even after describing that also people cannot see if they really don't want to see. So it is a very, so you have to relax, take it slow, keep all that you know about astrology in a locked box, which you will open after the course. Once your foundation, what I'm saying is right, what wrong, you have to analyze after the course. फिर आपके लिए डिसीजन करना आसान है ना कि आप वो फॉलो करो या ये फॉलो करो. वेरी सिंपल है. इट इज नो दिस अबाउट इट. मतलब पहले आई वांट से मास्टर, बट टीचर को सुनने का, पहले टीचर को बेनिफिट ऑफ डाउट देने का, ठीक है? नहीं तो नॉर्मली इट इज ऑलवेज दैट पीपल आर ऑलवेज थिंक है ठीक है अभी ये ट्रांजिट होने वाला है तो आपके साथ ऐसे होने वाला है. जरूरी नहीं है. देयर आर लॉट ऑफ शेड्स टू इट. वो तो YouTube एस्ट्रोलॉजी है ना कि अभी मेरे को अगर कुछ राइट अप करना है जनरल लेवल पे, मैं भी शायद ऐसे ही लिखूंगा कि भी मार्स ऐसे ट्रांजिट कर रहा है तो ऐसे होने वाला है. बट इतने मिलियन लोगों के साथ ऐसे होगा जरूरी नहीं है. For example, Mars is in a transit now in some particular thing, might not be great for people, but what did I explain in my seminar today? For me, Mars is my power in my occult. What is it doing? Remember, it is made me do this launch of this course in this particular time. देखो, the other way of it is now you might think कि मैंने plan करके उसको ऐसे लाइन में डाला, but subconsciously it has happened. मैंने कभी नहीं सोचा था कि ये टाइम पे मैं ये कोर्स चालू करूंगा या करूंगा, whatever. And to be very honest, out of the whatever classes that I'm thinking, I have only planned for 6. तो मेरे को over time उसको develop भी करना है. But I know that what is the thing, and you know, क्योंकि आप लोगों को ये साढ़े साथी है ना सिखाने के लिए बहुत लोग बैठे हैं. वो तो आप कहीं भी सीख सकते हो बाद में भी. बट मेन फंडा क्या है वो सीखना बहुत जरूरी है, नहीं तो आप वो मिस करोगे गन को. ठीक है? चलो, thank you guys, thank you for being patient. I took a lot of time, but but एक चीज जरूर याद रखना, please be ready for all this time late. मतलब I'm going to stretch it also, ठीक है? So please make yourself available as possible, so that you know, because all the subjects can many times can go much more further than planned. But I will try to restrict my thing, and maybe we can do little more number of sessions and try to restrict in that domain. Okay. If so, and try to be regular, and I will put all of them into the G drive of everybody, so you know you can just listen and think like that. Okay. And you can always reach out to me, and thank you for being a patient audience and listening to me on whatever I had to say. Okay. All the very best. All of you are destined to be great astrologers, that I can see. I don't mean, I don't mean in terms of a predictive thing. I'm talking for more in terms of, you know, guiding people. I think that is more important.
Thank you, Sarvesh.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Bye. Bye. Take care. Thank you, Karthik. Thank you, Harneet. Thank you, everyone.